right, let's see what happens here. Okay, it looks like we are live this morning. Good morning. It is 8:30 in the morning on November 18th, and it is the kickoff to Computer Science Week in JCPS or across the country. Danielle, tell us more about that Computer Science Week.
Yeah, it is across the country. Nationwide. We observe Computer Science Education Week the first week in December. So we are super excited about that.
Awesome. So this is our kickoff show, and so we've got some very special guests today. We've got Jermaine Watkins, a former JCPS grad, who is he'll tell you more about his role, actually, what he does in a minute. We've got Glenn Francisco joining us from. Where is Glenn joining us from, Danielle? Help me out here.
He's joining us from Brookline, so one of our state agency schools.
Very good. You've got to be my Hodakotbi on this, because, we got to go back and forth. All right, very good.
Got it.
And so, and then also I believe we've got one more person joining us this morning to talk about computer science, or maybe not. We were going to have Katie Teggy on from Dunn, but Glenn has joined us now, which is perfect.
Yes, awesome. Perfect timing.
All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Danielle, who's going to just pump us up for Computer Science Education Week.
Yes. So like we said, Computer Science Education Week is an exciting week to get your students coding and to get your students involved in computer science. So this is the ramp up to have careers in computer science, like one of our special guests, Jermaine Watkins. He is a former JCPS grad. He graduated from Dawes High School, but I know he went to many JCPS schools. But just his story alone will encourage teachers and students to get involved in coding, to get involved in computer science. And he can tell you a little bit more about his story a little later. And we also have Glenn Francisco. He is an amazing teacher at one of our state agency schools, and he is always willing and ready. Anytime I reach out to him, he says yes, that he is willing to share his knowledge. So again, this is going to be an exciting show. I'm going to quit talking right now. And first, we're going to talk about our teacher experience. So we're going to start with Glenn, and then we're going to turn it over to Jermaine Watkins, if that's okay.
Sure. All right. Let me see. Now, is my sound on?
Yes, it is.
Yep.
And I'm going to try to present my screen today and see if that works. Let me know if it does. I think last time I had somebody else do this for me. So, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
You can.
Yes.
All right. Great. All right. So what I thought I would do is kind of go over. Last week I talked a bit about code.org and some of the advantages of using it. And it's really one of my favorite tools to get kids started in coding. And today I'm going to just show you how to get it set up. I'm a middle school teacher, so I'm going to be kind of giving it the perspective of a middle school teacher. This is also maybe some good methodology for other teachers who have multiple different class sections. Okay, so let me go ahead and start here. Is my screen big enough that you can see it okay?
Yes, it is. Do you mind presenting, or is this okay for you?
I'll go into present mode here.
Okay.
How's that? Can you see that?
Okay? Yes,
All right.
And then can you click the hide button? PC hide is right there on top, and then go to CC. Do you see closed captioning? You hover at the bottom again, and then CC captions. It's one more, right there.
And we're gonna do
large and top.
Large.
So large,
And top. Okay.
Yes.
All right, cool. I've never done this before, so
It's okay.
all right, this is great. All right.
Yeah, and then press the button, and then you're good to go. So press the actual CC button.
Right here, right?
Yes, right there.
Sweet.
And it's working. And click allow, sir.
Yay. All right, great. How's that?
Great.
Oh, wow. Oh, I can see my words. Oh, that's so cool. All right. So uncode.org, when you're setting up a section, what you want to do initially is, and there's two ways to do this. You can set it up as a Clever Classroom, or you can set it up as a Google Classroom. And both of those will sync your section. So if you've got, like I have 7 different sections of classes that I teach, each one of these, both Google and Clever, will sync your classes well. You have to go in and actually manually update these, I believe. And periodically you go into the gear during, after you set it up, maybe once a week, and make sure your sections are up to date. With my school, I've got kids that turn over quite a bit. So we've got kids leaving and then entering our program. So I've got to update this quite often. Most other teachers won't have to do that. So anyway, to get set up here, I've already got my class rosters in, but to do that, what you're going to do is you're going to click on the create a section button here, and it will ask you, it'll prompt you what you want to enter. So you'll choose whether you're going to do a Clever sync and a Google sync. I'll explain that in a minute. I choose Clever, and I'll explain that, why I do that. And then I'm adding my section. And then you put a grade number, and then you choose a course. My favorite course to start the kids off with, if I'm teaching a really rigorous, comprehensive coding course, is I choose start off with course A in the standard course. And you'll see, I'll explain that in a minute. I choose Clever, and I'll explain that, why I do that. And then I'm adding my section.
Hey, Melody.
Grade number.
Do you mind turning off your sound? Thank you. There we go.
Wow, that was cool. All right, so then once you've got it added, then you'll have your list of your rosters here. So I'm going to scroll into the next screen here. So this is where you're going to choose what you're putting in here. So you've got your course, you've got your grade, and then you've got your course A, and then the version. You'll have students who have done code.org maybe before, and they'll have other versions in here. You want to make sure you're using the current year version, which is 2020. Paired programming allows you to have kids work together in teams. So if somebody is having trouble, and this is especially useful during NTI, that you can set it up to pair program, and that allows a student to invite another student remotely to join them and collaborate and solve a problem. So if they're stuck on a particularly hard thing, they can work together to solve it. I think it's an awesome tool for NTI. All right, and I was mentioning earlier about Clever or Google login method. I like Clever because Clever adds some analytics that allow you to look and see what students have been logging in at what time. Clever has a dashboard, a menu dashboard, and at the top, if you click analytics, you can see when kids have logged in and how frequently they're using it, which is an enhancement, I guess, to what code.org also allows you to see, which I'll show you in a minute, student progress. All right, so from there, once your sections are added from this dashboard, the gear next to each section will allow you to view student progress, manage and sync student rosters, and print completion certificates, which is especially great for their backpacks when they get done with a section, and it gives them a little bit of pride. Wow, I've got a certificate, you know? So let's see, tracking student progress default view. This is what you're gonna see if you go into in the gear and you do view progress. You'll see this screen here. Now this screen on this default view, I don't think is as useful as this other view, and I'm going to take you down. If you click on this levels section here, you'll see quite a bit more detail, and this is the detail I like to look at. And you can see here there are little dots that go across. This is kind of like your dashboard for the kids' progress. If they get, and this is a key down below here, it shows you what their progress is. If they have an open circle, like some of these kids do up here, that means that they haven't started yet. Outlined circle or outlined diamond tells you that they've started it, but they haven't done any work yet in it. Completed means, and if it's grayed in, it's not quite dark green, but it's kind of a shaded green. That means that they've created the steps and the procedures they need, but they've used too many steps. So they really need to go back. It's done, but you can coach them to go back and try to make it more efficient, their coding that they're doing. And finally, the green one is what they're all trying to achieve, which is a completed lesson. All right, demo. All right, so now that's how you can watch and see what the kids are doing. Now, before you actually assign a lesson or you tell the kids what to do, I highly recommend this. Going in your dashboard as a teacher. Now, you're going to be logging in as well with Clever and going to code.org and then seeing your dashboard there. In that view, if you scroll down a little bit, there's a section called My Courses. If you click on View Course, you'll see a screen like this. And this is where all the sections are laid out, and the things that you have done to examine are shown below in the dots. So these are the same, I guess there's sub lessons that the kids are going to be doing as well. And so let's say that your lesson for today is tell the kids, hey, I want you to work in sequencing. I want you to get lesson steps 1 through 12 done today. Well, this is exactly what you can do now. You can go in here and click one of these and then just kind of see what they're going to be working on, so you know what kind of questions you might get as a teacher during the day. And so, for example, this is in lesson 2, sequencing, step 9. And so I pulled this up, and what you have here, this is called block coding. And block coding is a really cool way to get all kids started coding. And even I've got a lot of students who are probably kind of on the lower end of the learning spectrum and maybe have some learning disabilities and reading issues and stuff like that, all kinds of issues, right? So, but the graphical interface allows them to just see and understand how things have to sequence together. And for example, here you see a house, and the house puzzle pieces are not quite in order, but they're prompted to see, how this is all going to fit together. And so then they manipulate by dragging a piece and clicking it where it belongs and dragging the other pieces. They can see where the top and then the middle and then the bottom go together. And this is sort of how coding is going to work for them too. They're going to see step 1, step 2, step 3, and you'll see in a minute what I'm talking about there. All right, next page. This is a sample lesson on section 4, step 6. And this is where it's starting to get a little bit more advanced now. So at this point, now they're going to start doing, which code.org does this a lot. Mostly it's a game where kids are trying to navigate a sprite through a maze. And the maze gets progressively more difficult, and they have to do a series of navigation steps to get around an obstacle, for example. And this one is using this character, and it's multiple modalities. It's like there's sound, there's you experience it, and it's really quite fun to actually do this. The kids laugh and stuff. It's really cool. Anyway, so you got a squirrel, and you're trying to get into the acorn. In order to do so, you have a section here where you have when run. You're going to click a run button, and it's going to execute these steps. And so the kids are learning now, okay, I want to do something. When I click run, it's going to set off a chain of events that need to occur. I need to determine now which events are going to go in which order. So as you can see, you've got a squirrel. He's got to move a couple steps to the right, or he could even go down and then to the right. Now, right represents east. So, you can also talk about navigating east, west. You're going to be doing that a lot with the kids too, talking about east, west, north, and south. So in this case, 2 steps east, right? So we've already got that done. He's almost there, but he has to do one more thing, which is to go south. So in this exercise, they're going to see that they need to snap in, drag and snap, and S down here. Then when they click run, of course, it's going to execute and do what it's supposed to do. Now, that said, block coding is really super cool, and it leads into all kinds of other opportunities. One of my real big favorites, and I'm really excited to talk about this at some future digital innovation training session, is Minecraft. And we've done a whole lot with this in my school. Last year, all the kids have been able to do all the coding in Minecraft. And this is an example of a coding project that you might do in Minecraft here with block coding. You have a chat command where you tell the character what to do, and then you have a series of steps that execute here. Kids are right from the beginning able to make chickens rain from the sky in Minecraft and all kinds of cool stuff. That's all I have to say for today. Are there any questions or comments?
There are not any questions in the chat right now, but you do have a fan base in the chat. I know it's Candace Rance. She is joining, and Elaine Abanatha. They both talked about how awesome you are. So thank you for sharing what you do with your students.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. And I know that,
they are my biggest fans. Candace.
Yeah, she is awesome. I love Candace. So I know that we have Melody Walls. She joined us. She is a teacher at Lockoff Elementary, and she might share a few words with you about why she implements coding and how she implements coding as well.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I've been I started using code.org last year with my students after I went to the code.org training at Camp Edwards, and they love it. One of the things that I did that I've done this year in my new position in the STEAM lab is I've been able to get everybody K-5 on it. So last year with my kids, they were starting as fifth graders, and it was kind of new to them. And I know code.org kind of gives you guidance about the grade levels that go with, what courses to start with each grade level. So I actually started my kids off a little bit lower. I started them off, I think, in fifth grade on course C, but they absolutely love it. And one of the problems I know a lot of us are getting is we're like 15, 16 weeks into NTI is student engagement. So that's been really big for me, especially as a special area, because we're kind of, once they get so a lot of times once they get their classwork done, it's like, oh, I'm done with all my work for the week. And I've gotten so much positive feedback about code.org and how much they love coding. Once they've kind of started, even my kindergartners, they love to get on. They started with course A. A couple of my fifth graders have asked, could I move them up to another course so they can work on other things? They'll send me an email asking if they can work on different projects. Can they build a sprite? Can they see if they can figure out the apps? So we're working on trying to get teachers to kind of embed it more in their classroom and see, how can you bring this in with math, or how can you bring this in, like Lynn was saying, talking about, cardinal directions and north, south, east, and west, and trying to really, because it really does integrate really well with all of your content area classes as well.
Yes, and thank you for that. And talking about integration and talking about with our math and science, we do have Jermaine Watkins. He is the Chief Technology Officer at WeatherCheck, and he experienced those coding opportunities in computer science as a JCPS grad. So we would love to hear from you, Jermaine, and thank you so much for being here.
Hi, and thanks. Yes, so to start off, I think I started off I don't know if you guys remember the huge snowstorm that occurred back in the early 90s, but there was a game that I was playing that really kind of started my interest in coding. Then from there, I actually did programs at JCPS that fostered technology, and then I ended up going to Dawes High School and doing the pre-engineering program to really just stay connected with technology. So I'm currently the Chief Technology Officer and co-founder of WeatherCheck. WeatherCheck is a startup company out of Louisville, Kentucky. Recently, we were selected in Google's first inaugural Black Founders Accelerator. We're a Y Combinator company. And a lot of things that I do there with coding is lead our software development team, and I still code the product that we have. So, and the product that we have is a software that detects when you have hail damage or when a property has hail damage. So I can't, it's been an amazing ride being in a startup, and it's all because of computer science. I've kind of have an unconventional probably background in computer science. I was self-taught probably the first 10 years of my career, and then actually went back when I was at Yum Brands, when I was thinking like maybe I wanted it like a career job, and actually got my degree in business information systems from Indiana Wesleyan. So I guess it's kind of a weird path because I already knew how to code before I went back and got my degree, but it was like, hey, degrees are important. But I love coding because it's always challenging. Like it's always like a series or a problem to solve. It's just like a nice puzzle to just like put your mind at. And it's actually, for me, it's actually relaxing because it's like, all right, I've got to figure out like, how do I do this or how do I do that? And I feel like it also keeps you young because you're always challenging yourself to figure out the problem. And sometimes I guess it does come with stress when they're deadlines and your boss is like, oh, I need this now. But it's fun when someone actually uses it and you can like see the impact that you have on users, and you can see people, they're like, oh man, that was great. That helped me so much. Or like, hey, you figured out our vacation home was damaged and we were able to get someone out there fast without there being a lot of damage, and it saved us a lot of money. So there's always like, when you create software, there's always, I feel like at the end when you help somebody, you get this like joy out of like seeing people use it. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. Yes, thank you for that. And I kind of wrote down some quotes that you said that coding is relaxing, and just the impact that you have when you code something on those stakeholders or on anyone that you have an impact on. But I do have a question for you, and that is, what advice would you give to students or teachers as they are, I guess students and teachers, one, as students are experiencing coding, and then the second, as teachers are encouraging students to code or to participate in computer science, because we know computer science is not all about coding.
That is a journey. So like I remember like the VTech, like pre-computer 1000 that I got stuck with during the big snowstorm. I was really just like programming like this guess your age game. And I think I was like playing games a lot, or just like wanted to, I wanted to learn how to like, think every maybe kid wants to figure out how to be a video programmer in the beginning, just to make games. And I think it's just about like having fun and just exploring and allowing yourself to explore. It's like, it's not something that you're going to immediately step in and know everything. And you got to just be okay with that and just enjoy the journey.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And I know that Melody and Glenn, they teach students all the time, and I know they are having fun in the journey, as you have said. Melody or Glenn, do you have any other questions to ask of Jermaine? Okay, so Russ is about to put in the chat the link that is on the schedule, and that is and I can share my screen really quick, but that is the website to the computer. Let me stop sharing that screen.
So just real quick, Code.org was founded in January of 2013, and I can remember being in the classroom and being an early adopter. It was really cool. If you had like 5 or 10 kids finish a course, they gave you like a $150 DonorsChoose.org gift card or something. It was pretty awesome. And so I know I got like a new table because I had like 5 kids finish that course that year. So it's been around a while. It's amazing to think it's been around since 2013.
Yeah, and I know they used to give out prizes for participating in Hour of Code as well. So that is a really great foundation, and their cause is perfect. So the site that we are showing is the JCPS code site. If you have not taken a look at that site, there are a lot of resources there. On the homepage, you will find a show that we did last time to kick off Computer Science Education Week. But I just want to show you, if you click on Hour of Code at the top, just getting started, we want you to register on Hour of Code because we want JCPS want to know how many schools are participating in Hour of Code, and we want to be celebrated in the state of Kentucky as well. The second step, get your entire school to participate in Hour of Code. All means all. So all employees at your building, all students, everyone involved in your building. And then the third step, we want to fill out the form. So how many students have participated in your event? And also step 4, share all of the ways that you are coding on the Twitter hashtag. So that's JCPS Dig In and Hour of Code. Lastly, the digital innovation team, we would love to co-teach with you. So there is a short form, just very, very short form. If you put your email address and name, your location, the date and time, and if you're not sure of that date and time, you can put NA and someone from the digital innovation team will reach out to you as well. And since we are an NTI, choice boards were created surrounding coding, so there are different options available to you. Please feel free to make a copy, to share, to tweak it however you want to. This is a start, or feel free to just assign it to your students as activities. Because remember, our goal is to get students learning how to code and just to introduce them to, just for a brief moment, in coding and computer science. And you will also find more resources available to you. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I am going to ask Glenn, Jermaine, and Melody if they have any final words they will want to tell our audience.
I think I would just say, don't feel like you have to have gone through all of the courses yourself to get your kids started with it, because they really love it. And honestly, they'll probably be teaching you things about coding and about code.org and finding things. So even if you feel uncomfortable with it, you should still go ahead and get started, because the kids are so excited to learn about it.
That is great advice.
Yeah, and I would add that once you get started, it just kind of snowballs itself, and the kids together, like she's saying, they help each other, and they actually help you as a teacher. I know one experience I want to share from last year is that we started with code.org. Candace Wren really got me started with that, and I really appreciate her help in doing that. But from there, we went into Minecraft, and we did some coding in Minecraft, and it was amazing. The kids will get a book and read about Minecraft things, and then everyone's kind of challenged to try to outdo each other. And one thing that happened last year was the kids figured out a way to teleport out of these areas that I had them working in. And so I had to come up with a way to stop. So it was a challenge. Everyone was challenged to try to outdo each other. And that's the cool thing about coding. It just builds on itself.
Awesome.
One thing I would say, or one thing that I'm reminded of, is like the quote that Steve Jobs said, that don't worry that it doesn't work right away. If everything did work, you'd be out of a job. So I'm always like, it's okay that it doesn't work. I just got to get through it and just keep focused and just keep chugging away.
Awesome. And thank you all so much for joining just to kick off computer science. I know that this will be an exciting week, and I greatly appreciate all of you all. And I know that I learned a lot from all of you all just by being on the show during this brief time. So thank you so much. And now, just FYI, if anyone needs any help with coding or computer science, please do not hesitate to reach out to myself or one of your digital innovation leaders, and we can assist you and support you. So now I will turn it back over to Russ.
All right, and so that brings us to our 9 o'clock show, which is about smart adding interactivity to your remote lessons. And so I am going to turn over to my colleague, Kathleen Receiver, who's going to kick this off. Let's go for it, Kathleen.
Good morning, everyone. So thank you for tuning in today. We are back with Amy Lynn from Smart Technologies, and so excited to have her here today. She's a wonderful resource for us, and the Smart Learning Suite for all our JCPS teachers has been turned on, so the 45-day trial should have disappeared. And Amy has some great tips for us today to work smarter and not harder.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And let's get that going. Okay, let me know when you can see that.
We see it.
All right, awesome. Let me get on the right page here. Okay, so our time, we got our 30 minutes here today. We are going to talk about Smart Learning Suite and Google. So if you had a chance to listen to our last session, we really gave you an introduction to Smart Learning Suite Online and all of the neat ways that you can use it. In this lesson or in this session, what we're going to do is talk about how you can use this with Google and explore a little bit more into some of those activities. So if you are joining us live today, go ahead and hop into my lesson. You'll get a feel for what this is like as a student. And you can go out to hellosmart.com and enter my class ID, which is 367098. So we'll give you guys a second to log into that if you're joining us live. And again, if not, we'll have all these resources posted for you as well. But hellosmart.com, 367098. While we're waiting here, I'll also mention that this is a static code. So once you have your code, you don't have to worry about it switching. You can, post it in your Google Classroom or give your students access to it to make it easier for them to get in. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close this off and get started. So what are we going to accomplish today? So essentially we are going to, we did this last session, we're going to expand a little bit upon this, but we're going to smartify an existing lesson in G Drive. You can do that with Google Slides, with PowerPoint, with PDFs, with Smart Notebook files if you have some of those. So you have the ability to do that. We'll talk through that. We're going to spend a good amount of time exploring and adding activities and talking about the ways in which you can engage and get your students interacting. I know as you have students at home, I have, my child is at home learning, and it's, it's hard to get them engaged. So these are ways that you can have them engaged, whether you're doing live Google Meets or you're having them work at home on their own time. So then we'll spend time delivering that lesson live so you can see what that looks like. And then we'll also show you what that looks like to share the lesson outside of class. And we'll be using Google Classroom for that. And then, of course, always have the ability to access resources. We've got a ton of resources available for you. Our YouTube channel has a lot of different trainings that you can take a look at. So we'll share those as well. And so let's go ahead and get started. So again, you can do this from Google. Super exciting. As Kathleen said, you all have this available in your Google Drive. So a couple different places you could get it. You could go to the waffle and you would see Smart Learning Suite over here. You could also go to your new and more, and then you will see Smart Learning Suite there. And then last, you could actually click on any of your files. I've got a whale PDF over here, and you could choose to just open that with Smart Learning Suite if you wanted to go ahead and smartify that lesson. So lots of different ways that you can access Smart Learning Suite. So that's exciting. It's all built into your workflows. So let's talk about how do you enhance your current lessons. So last time we used characteristics of life. I think we'll stick with that theme today. So I'm going to just jump back to my Google Drive, and you can see I have a number of different activities in here. And this one is called my characteristics of life. It is my Google slide. And like I said earlier, I can just right click on that and choose to open it with Smart Learning Suite. Now, as that's opening, I'm going to jump back and talk you through a few things again. We had shared that it's actually going to create a new file. So I'm going to have this new icon here called Characteristics of Life. I still have my original available to me if you want to access that. So you'll have that separate file that's available. And then you can, very easily just share this. Where is share? There we go. You can easily share this with teachers and students once it becomes a file inside your Google Drive. So it's setting up over here. Once I'm in this file, again, it took my Google Slides and it just made each of them a page here in my Smart Learning Suite. So I could rename this if I wanted to. I'm going to maybe just take notes off of this one. So I have the ability to rename files if I'd like to do that. You can also, I think the most important thing you're going to want to do, again, is make things interactive. So I'm going to spend a good amount of time talking you through all the ways that you can make things interactive. So for example, let's say this particular page, I actually want my students to interact with this. And I want them to upload a picture, write a paragraph. So I actually want them, let's hide that. I actually want them to convert this to an activity. Right now, it's kind of giving me this little hint that it's view only. So I don't want this view only. I want people to interact. So I'm going to choose convert to activity. And then I have two choices. I can either make it an individual handout or I can make it collaborative. If you want the students, again, to work on their own and see that, you can make it an individual activity. I think for this one, I would like to make it individual. So I'm going to click on that and it converts it for me. And I can click here to see a little preview of that if I'd like, and I can close it. So you're going to get a chance to see what all of these look like on the student end, but setting up an individual handout, again, it essentially just gives every student access to this and we can work in real time together. So I'm going to pause there. Are there any questions or anything, Kathleen, we should elaborate with that?
I don't think so. I think we're good.
Okay, let's keep going. So then we've got a few text pages here talking about the characteristics of life and the 5 characteristics of life. And maybe as we go through, I want to start making more things interactive. So I'm actually going to touch this plus sign down here below. So if I click on this plus sign, it opens up a whole new menu with a lot of different activities that I can do. Maybe I wanted my students to watch a video on the characteristics of life. I can simply click on YouTube here and it would pull in a video for me. So I could say, and it's going to pull up several different videos for me. And I could pick one of these. You can preview these if you'd like, but I think I'm just going to pick one of these and add this one in. Quick little 2-minute video, and you can see now it puts that directly into my file. And of course, when you're using YouTube here, it's going to go through all of your district filters as well. So it's just like using YouTube in the classroom. Okay, so we've added a video here, and now I want to do more things. I could get a blank page if I wanted to add more text or something like that. We're not going to do that today, but that is there if you'd like to. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of these activity templates. So we've got something called Shout It Out and Response. So Shout It Out is if you want to just really quickly engage your students and see what they're thinking. Now, Shout It Out, I will point out, does require you to be live in class. So this is not an outside of class polling tool. Shout It Out is a live in class, runs alongside your Google Meet, if you will. Or if we have the luxury of being back in the classroom, it would run alongside your classroom. So I'm going to click Shout It Out so you can see what that looks like. And once I'm in here, I can either have their responses just come up to the board randomly, or I can select categories. So I might want to do living and non-living for my categories. Let's put a non-loving. Make sure that's not what we want here. Living. Okay. And then you have the ability to allow them to do text or pictures. I'll allow images. Maybe we'll have them bring in pictures. And you can change how many contributions. And you can choose whether or not you want to show their names, if you want to see who contributed or if you want to keep it anonymized. We'll go ahead and show names for this one. And we push finish. And now I have this really nice poll that's available on my lesson. So that's another quick way to engage students. It's a great way to get them involved. If you wanted to do a response, you might remember the clickers back in the day and you'd give them a full-on assessment. That's what response is for. So I'm going to go ahead and there's a little preview with any of these. In fact, if you select this little magnifying glass, it will give you a preview of what that activity is if you'd like to see that. But essentially response, if we click on it, it's going to give you all of these different types of questions. You could do multiple choice, true, false, multiple answer, a poll or opinion, and a short answer. So you would simply select all of these, type in your question. Is a plant living? I should probably make that true, false. And we'll go with true. You could bring in pictures if you wanted. And then you could continue to add questions on. So I would say, let's make an opinion question. Oh, we'll do a short answer. So actually, I'm going to do opinion. Okay, so I'm going to say, what is your favorite living thing? Question mark. Okay, so again, I could actually continue to add questions. I could put answers here if I want to, but I could make these optional and just have, again, it's an opinion, so there's really no correct answer. My questions would just keep lining up down the side here. If I just continue to add questions, I select next, and then it's going to put it's going to let me put a title in if I wanted to. So I could do living and non-living. I could add instructions if I wanted to. And when I put finish, my response then is on this page. Again, keeping in mind that both shout it out and response do require you to be live in class. Let's talk a little bit about some of our other activities that actually don't require you to be live in class. So we've got things, and I say live in class, I don't mean in person, I mean, synchronous at the same time. Let's say we have all these.
But Amy, can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yes.
So you say live in class, but that still means that the teachers could have, as they're teaching live virtually, as we are right now, they could have all of those pages that you showed earlier, plus maybe a few blank pages. They could throw in a pre-assessment with using the either shout it out or the response in the beginning and the end, and maybe even some of these game-based activity templates in the middle, right?
You got it. Absolutely. While you're running a Google, absolutely. And you could even still hand this out to your students outside of class. We'll get to that and what that looks like. But yes, while you're running Google Meets, this is a really nice partner for that. Does that help?
Yes, I just had a teacher last night. I gave a training for new teachers. And one thing that when I showed them this, one thing she said is she's like, oh my gosh, this is perfect because when I only have 30 minutes to teach the kids, there's not much time for transitions. So it can do all of it together as far as like she's used like Quizlet at the beginning of class or Pear Deck at the end of class. But this way she can put all of them together in one lesson and not have several different transitions for her students. So I just wanted to mention that as well. That was a good point that a new teacher said last night.
I love it. That is a great point. It's all in one place. You deliver it live, and then you can share it as well. So it's all together. That's a really great point. Thank you. So we won't get a chance to explore all of these games today. Again, you can come in. I'll show you how we got here. I went over to these game-based activities. We won't explore all of them. I encourage you to look at these. Again, you can click on the preview, and it sort of gives you here's what each of these are. So there's fill in the blank, which is, I love, it's super easy to create. There's sort of flashcards, a game show. I'm going to show you a few of these. I'm going to we'll do sorting since we're doing living and non-living. So I could do living and I could say plants, animal, let's see, cat, dog, and then non-living. We could say rock, we could say metal, we could say table, not super creative here this morning. And then we can, again, choose next. We have all these fun themes that you can pick. If you wanted to customize your theme and bring in your own picture, you could do that as well. I could click custom and it would actually ask me to bring in my own pictures. You can see these icons here. Not going to do that today. If you wanted to choose any of these fun themes that we have, you can do that. Or if you wanted a simple theme, you can do that as well. I'll choose a rock concert here. And then that puts that on my activity. So we're going to keep going. I want to show you a few more of these things. Again, with these activities, super fun. Try them out. Monster quiz is one of my favorites as well. That's one. It's more of a fun kind of game quiz in the classroom. And essentially, what you would do with monster quiz, you can do multiple choice or true false questions. And once it's the same sort of template as response. And once you have those in there, your students actually are racing against each other to try to hatch their monsters. And it's a huge popular one with students.
That one's my favorite too, Amy. And I'm going to challenge our team and our leader that we're pretty competitive. And I'm thinking that we need to have a monster quiz the next time, Stephen, when we do a challenge with our group. So
it's on.
I think we'll do that.
I love it. I love a good challenge. Good stuff. I guess I'll show you one more. I'll show you fill in the blanks. So let's just say that, let's do characteristics of life again. And maybe I'm going to just pull up, I wanted to do this. You would probably have other texts that you're pulling from, but I just wanted to show you how you could do fill in the blank. So I went out, I had specific text. Now you might have that based off of your curriculum materials that you're using. And I can actually paste that text in here, and then I could actually define my blanks. So it's really easy to create these types of activities. So if you're doing a quick vocabulary activity, you could essentially do that and then choose next. Again, you could pick these themes. I'll show you what simple looks like and finish. And as a preview, I've got a really nice vocabulary activity that did not take me very much time at all to create. So it's another one of my favorites. It's really easy to create. So as we keep going here, there are, let's move down to these ready-made resources. So we've found a lot of these activity templates, games. We also have a lot of ready-made resources. So if you're thinking, what should I do at the start of my lesson to activate prior knowledge? We have some different activities for that. So we're all familiar with the KWL or KWLQ charts. That's using Shout It Out, and it's basically what do you know, want to know, or learned. And then here's one that says, just in general, basic, what do you want to know about the topic? So I could click one of these and it just populates it right into that lesson for me. And I'm going to come back to this. I could do a response if I wanted to do true, false, quick question there. Or I can do handouts. I love these handouts. I could do an entrance ticket, or I could do a, draw what you know about the topic. So that might be a fun one for students. So draw what you know. We'll put it in here. Again, what will happen is that my students will have the ability to independently work on this and give me an overview of what they know. So those are some of the prior knowledge ones. We also have a lot of questioning and reflection. So again, using some Shout It Out activities, we have plus, minus, interesting, 3 facts, 2 questions, opinions. So again, this is all about that inquiry-based learning, asking them questions, getting them to think. You could do that with response, agree or disagree, how do you feel about the topic? Or you can do that with handout activities. These are some of my favorites. Again, I love the 6-word summary. Basically, students write in 6 words a summary of everything they've learned. I think it's a really nice way for them to synthesize everything. Let's keep going. And, share 3 things you learned. Do an exit ticket. Here's a 1-minute paper. How would you explain what you've learned? So all of these different ways that you could, gauge what they learned and have them reflect on their learning. And then we'll get to the manipulatives. So as you think about, again, students learning at home right now, how do you get them involved in interacting with things? And what I love about this is it allows you to tailor specifically what they need. I'm not just relying on something that is sort of already there and I can't change. I can actually make activities specific for them. So we've got base 10 blocks, there's calendars. I know those are a lot of fun. There's coins, fraction tiles, 100 charts, words as well. math expressions, musical notes, number lines, pattern blocks, and shapes. So I'm going to just pull in a number line, and you can see what this looks like. Now, again, this is going to give me, with the manipulatives, it says this is a view only. I don't want this to be view only. I actually want to convert this to an activity. So I'm going to make that an individual handout. So again, when I give this to my students, it's going to be a handout that they can work on their own. And let's jump back to it. I'm not going to pull in any more of these at this point. Actually, you know what? I am going to pull in. I'm going to do one more. We'll do a hundreds chart. And this time what I'm going to do is make this one a collaborative page. So this is one now, individual handouts. Again, I'm working this on myself. I can do interaction with my teacher only. Collaborative workspace, I can interact with my peers as well. So when we put this in deliver mode, you'll get a chance to see what this looks like. And last, we have our graphic organizers. So you're going to see things in here like Cornell notes. I believe you guys have some Avid schools. If you're an Avid school, we have a partnership with Avid. So check out on the Smart Exchange. If you do a search for Avid, you'll see all their templates, Wicker, Cornell notes, see all those different things. So super exciting resources there for our Avid users. But again, these are all of my, like, let's say I want to do a brainstorming web. Put this in here. This is probably an activity that I want to make collaborative. So we're going to do this as a collaborative workspace. I'm going to add a few more here. Just keep jumping back to that plus sign. We could do, I love these types of things, a reading response. You know, think about as we're doing active reading, we want to encourage that. Here's a piece of paper that they can use. I'll probably make this one independent to let them work on their own with that. And
this is awesome. This is what I was talking about, you know, working smarter, not harder. All of our teachers are working so hard at home to find engaging and interactive ways for our students. And we have this in JCPS for our teachers to use fully and for free. So I love all of these templates. This is great.
Awesome. Scientific method. This will be the last one we pull in. You could make this, again, if your students were potentially doing a lab or you were doing a lab and they were following along, you could make this an individual handout or small groups. I'm going to make this one a small group activity. So I've added in a whole bunch of activities. There's a ton more that you could explore, and you're absolutely right, Kathleen. They're there to make it easy for you to engage your students, so you don't have to spend a lot of time thinking about the ways in which you can engage. You have your content, you know what you know where your students are at. You can pull in these templates and modify them. So we've done creation. We have like 8 minutes left. I want for you guys to see what this looks like on the student end. Maybe I got a little ambitious with adding in activities. But on the student end, or before we move to the student end, Kathleen, anything else to add here? I'm going to take that as a no.
No, I don't think so.
I think Kathleen and I are just looking at the chat. There's some people just excited about, it's like, wow, I didn't know I had this, and this is going to be great. So yes.
Awesome. I love it. Okay, so I've done all my editing. I'm going to choose finish editing. Remember, this is all being saved in my Google Drive for me. In fact, if I take a sneak peek back there, I'll see that, and I would have to, let's go back to recent. You would see that it repopulates. There it is. Repopulates for me, and it shows when I was creating that. So I've got this available. And now if you're in, you can, again, it's 367098. Go out to hellosmart.com. You'll be able to see what this looks like as a student. So as a teacher, what you would do is I hit finish editing, and you would just click on your person icon to have your students join. It's super easy. They can join with two things. They can either sign in with their JCPS email address, or they can just sign in as a guest. If they sign in with their JCPS email address, they're going to get a little bit more access outside of class. If you want to post this to your Google Classroom and you want them to continue some of the handouts and things like that, they would need to be signed in to do that. If you just want them to view this outside of class and not do any of the activities, you could have them sign in as guests. But I kind of recommend signing in with IDs for your older students. If you're doing it live and you don't intend to pass it out outside of class, guest is fine. Was that clear?
Yeah, and we have so many students that are using their Chromebooks right now. They're already signed in to their Google accounts, so it should be real easy for them to access this as well.
Awesome. So there's a couple things that I can do once everyone's in. I have you all in teacher paste mode right now, which means if I move a page, you move a page. So you're, and I, if I ink on a page, it's going to show up on your page as well. So I can really direct your attention and focus. Once perhaps we start moving into some of the student work, I might want to put you into student pace mode. You'll get a little, or the students will get a little pop-up that says you're now free to go to any page you want. So you'll see what that looks like. Now, as I scroll through some of these activities, you'll get a chance to see what they look like. So let's move through. Here's our lovely YouTube video. I think we all know how to play video, so I'm not going to do that, but your YouTube video would play. You're shouted out. If I start this for the class, I'll let you see what that looks like on a student end. We're just typing in living and non-living. And you can, I think I put this as pictures. So the students would be able to actually search for a picture and pull that in. So we can do a shout it out there. And this is what I would see on the teacher's end. I think for sake of time, we won't wait for you guys to respond to that, but you have that. So that's what it looks like. This is the response piece. And so with response, I click start for class. And I'm actually going to move you back into teacher paste mode. So I'm going to put you back on the same page as me. So when I'm in response, I do get to see where we're at. I can see our live results if I wanted to. And then I could, look at my overview if I'd rather do that. I guess I only put one question there. So you have the ability to, navigate through your questions with your response. The students, it kind of gives me this hint, students can complete this individually on their own devices. This was that sort that I created, living, non-living. It's got some noise to it if you're hearing that. But again, I can sort them and my rock band will play. Fill in the blank. You saw this as a preview, but essentially you're looking at this and you're seeing, oh boy, I didn't look at the things that I was doing here. Evolve, I remember was last. If I get them wrong, there we go. Oh, where's my checking answers? I don't think these are correct. I don't know if I said, there we go, check answers. Yeah, I got a lot of these wrong. When you're finished, your answers will pop up. There are options to have them check immediately as well. But I could certainly kind of, have that check at the end as well.
Yeah, we probably should have read that paragraph before we did that one.
Exactly. Oops. Here's the shout it out for the KWL. Here's the draw what you know. So when I'm in this one, and this is a handout for my students, it gives me this prompt that students will appear here once they're connected. So now I see a couple of my students connecting. And if I click on one of their names, we'll click on Mrs. Walls here, and she could be drawing what she knows about the topic. I could actually be drawing with her, and I'm not sure who Miss Walls is today, but I could say I'm drawing a heart. Bear with me, I'm not an artist. But Miss Walls would be seeing my work. What I love about these handouts is that really allows me, and Mrs. Walls is complete since she has a check mark there. What I love about this is that I can really narrow in on what my students are doing. This is another thing we hear from a lot of teachers is like, how do I know if they're really learning? How can I check in on them? So I can actually walk into someone's specific workspace and we can work in real time with these handouts. This is probably my most favorite thing to do. Oh, look at this. Trees need sun, trees need air. Student student 1 is doing a fantastic job. So I could add in stars here. I could say,
Thank you.
What else do they need? And so Kathleen, as I'm doing that, are you seeing what's showing up on your screen?
Yes, I can see you giving me a star, and I can see you like moving, or that question, and you're moving around. What else do they need?
Yeah, exactly. So real time, I can really dig in and see how each of my students are doing. I love that about the handouts. Creating a 6-word summary. This one is another super fun one that I like. So it's like in 6 words, summarize what we've learned here today. And again, as my students populate, I'll see their things. I know we're at 1 minute, so I'm going to keep going. I think I made the hundreds. Yes, I want to do one more workspace. I made the hundreds chart a whole group activity. In fact, I'm going to go down to the brainstorming web. I made the brainstorming web a whole group activity, which requires me to set this up. So if I want to share this outside of class, I can. I just need to set it up, either everyone on one team, or I can break them up into groups if they're joined live with me. I think we're going to have to spend more time next time talking about how to share this outside of class. But we'll go ahead and we'll just put everyone on one team. Now we're all in this. And essentially, we could be brainstorming together on these things. And then I could continue going on with our lesson. I'm looking at the time and trying to hurry up here. Once we're done with this, like I said, we're all complete. I could actually go and we could wrap up there, and I don't have to hand this out to my students after the fact. Or I could come here and I could actually post this in my Google Classroom. And it would be very easy just to come up, create an assignment just like you do. I'm going to do this really quickly. Living, and add from Drive. I'll see my most recent file here.
And this is the best part. You can integrate it right into your Google Classroom.
Yep, it's right here. Students can view. You don't have to actually worry about changing this permission as they're already able to edit. And then you choose Assign, and it's going to show up on that student view. So I encourage you to play around with that. I know we're short on time. Maybe we'll spend some more time doing that in a later session. But there are some really great resources you can access. If you go to our YouTube, we have a Smart Support YouTube, Smart Support. There's a whole playlist on using Smart Learning Suite with G Suite. So I definitely encourage you to check out that resource as well. And with that, I know I'm a minute over, and I want to be cognizant of the next presenter.
Thank you so much, Amy. This was great information, and I know our teachers are really excited to use this. So thank you. I really appreciate you. And Heather said, you're the best. Hello, and thank you so much for doing this for us today.
Awesome. Well, I'm super excited, and we'll continue this series because I love that you guys have this, and we want to help support you.
Yes, we will for sure. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Awesome, great. So it's awesome learning about Smart Learning Suite. You know, it's kind of like if Jamboard and Google Slides combined to make this kind of like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, you know, mega a thing. It's just, you got like the best of every world there. So Smart Learning Suite, definitely something you should be checking out. Now we're going to talk about Sphero during NTI, which, like, when I saw this topic, I was like, man, this is really going to be interesting to me, because, like, you think Sphero, you think the little ball robots rolling around on the floor. How are we doing this during NTI? Well, we've got Kathy Jackson, digital learning coach from Bowen Elementary, to talk about that today. So good morning, Kathy.
Good morning.
All right, and so Kathy, take it away.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Do I just share my?
Yeah, share your screen.
I've not done it in this type of world before, so
all right,
sure.
I will walk you through it. So yeah, you're gonna share your screen. There you got it, perfect. And then so yep, good. So you're gonna, good job. And then go down to the bottom there where it says
Captions.
Yep, captions. Oh, I like your slides. There we go. Allow. You did it. And then the drop. There you go. Perfect. If you could make them large, though, actually go to the caret. See the little caret right next to the closed captions? The little down arrow.
Yes.
And then go to text size and make it large or extra large. Perfect. Awesome.
Older people like me that can't see very well. Is that what you're talking about?
That's right. Yeah. Well, and like me too now. All right. So good morning, Kathy. Let's. I'm so excited to hear about this.
Okay. I got a question. My camera went out. Can you don't need to see me though, do you?
No, not at all. We just see your screen, so which is great.
Okay. All right. So, like Russ said, I am the digital learning lab coach at Bowen Elementary, and I am. Rebecca recommended that I start out talking about how I got these. And I'm a huge proponent of Donors Choose. Russ knows that. His wife does it as well. back in the spring when COVID started, there was an opportunity on Donors Choose to do some distance learning projects. So I racked my brain about what could I get for my lab and do it at home, distance learning with the kids. And I was thinking robotics. I hadn't touched it in the lab at all last year, and started doing some research and found out about these cute little Spheros, which you can't see because you can't see me, I don't think.
Yeah. And let me just butt in here real quick and just talk about Kathy Jackson, Donors Choose Pro. The one thing I really love about Kathy is she's a master of get your own. And that's what I had to be when I was in the classroom at Chenoweth Elementary. I had to be that same way, because we can talk about all day, like, we don't have funds for this. We don't have, you go to your principal, they don't have funds for this. They don't have funds for this. But DonorsChoose.org allows you to be a master of get your own. And so Kathy, she just straight up hustled on the DonorsChoose.org, and that she inspired me to do that as well. I can remember reading about Kathy and the DonorsChoose.org project she would get in the Monday memo back in the day. And I was like, man, this lady, she's amazing. And so you inspired me way back when. So thank you, Kathy, for being a master of get your own. Very important.
Yeah, I guess I am a hustler. I've had 80 projects funded in, I don't know how many years I've been doing it. So once I got my first 3, I got 3 more, and I got 3 more, and I had 9 of them just kind of sitting on my shelf at school and waiting for an opportunity to use them. And so we met earlier in the year, and we had to meet with our gifted and talented team and needed to identify those kids that needed services in creativity, leadership, visual arts, subjects like that. So I'm one of our school technology leadership coaches, and I knew it would had to offer 2 clubs. She was going to offer the other club. So we identified some kids, and I had one group that last year was, they made it through regionals on the state, and I knew I had an established club that I was going to do something with. So I spoke to another group of, and I call them my boys, that I wanted to do something with. And they couldn't think of anything. They're at home, and they're just, this is all just not, it's all new to them, and trying to find something to spark their creativity. And I was sitting at school, and I looked over at my shelf, and I had my 9 blue boxes of bolts. And I said, hold on, guys. And I went over and I held them up, and I said, would you like to learn how to program these from home? And instantly, eyeballs, yes, that would be so awesome. So I said, well, here's the deal, guys. They're still in boxes. I have never used them myself. We're going to have to learn how to do this together. And they were on board. Their parents were on board. So the parents met me at the door, because I have door hours at school as a technology person. And they picked up an iPad, which I had the app pushed to, and they picked up their own Spheros. So we had to figure out how to do this virtually for STLP. So a little bit of both. So when we got together, we decided, what would we do? And after brainstorming for a while, the boys decided that we would figure out how to teach kids to do this virtually. How would we teach Bowen Elementary students at home, or figured out at home how we would do it when we got back to school. So we opened them up, we started talking about it, we learned that we decided we would make a website that once we got back to school, the students would be able to, I do a lot of centers in my lab, that as a center, the boys would teach the kids through a website how to program the Spheros on their own. They were willing to take up the challenge, and we've already started creating our website. We have learned a lot. I have learned a lot, but we started just step by step with the simple ones. And the goal was that every week that they would create a new code or a program and a video to share with me, share with the other kids, and then start putting on the website. So I've got a little video here. When we sent these home with the boys, a few weeks, and a parent sent this message to me, and I think I put it out on Twitter one day. And our message was, he's got it up and working. He's so happy. Thanks for letting him be a part of it. First time he's been excited about learning since March. So kind of made me cry a little bit. So I don't know if you can hear this or not. I don't know if you can hear that, because I can barely hear it.
I can't hear it. I can see it though. It's pretty neat. He's just coding the robot on it's an iPad he's got there. He's coding the robot, and it's just rolling across the carpet.
So what's neat is he is smiling, And once he gets it to do it, you can hear him talking about degrees. He goes 270, 360. And then once it does it, he just smiles. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to start, this is why I did this. I need to jump into this just like my boys did and get just as excited as they are. And then I had another parent who sent me these two pictures, and she said if I shared these to ignore that they're remodeling their house right now. But she said he hasn't put the robot down since he got it. And that's I said, that's my why for doing this. And getting these boys excited during NTI to do something a little bit different, something a little bit exciting. So we just started this 6 weeks ago, and we only meet 30 minutes a week, sorry. And we've learned a lot. So first of all, Sphero, unfortunately, is not approved for student login, but can be used in guest mode. So we're all in guest mode. I'm in it, they're in it, and we're just working on our own because I can't assign them activities when it's in guest mode. And one of the first things you have to connect to your robot, depending on what model you have, so you connect. Aiming, believe it or not, you would think was one of the easiest things to learn, and we couldn't figure out why our Spheros were going in totally different directions than we thought. But we learned that you have to aim them first. And during a meet, I wanted to see what they were doing, and they wanted to see what I was doing. So I joke that this is one of the only clubs out there that that the adult has to get on the floor. And I'm on the floor. You can see in the picture down there. And they take their iPads and they control their bolts, and they move their monitors down so that we can all see what they're doing. So everybody's involved at the same time, which is fun, but hard to get back up later on. And there are so many things that can be programmed and been done there, but we are really focusing on getting really good at movement. There are rolling controls, speed, which we really learned that if we want to keep it within a certain space, we need to roll slowly. And they, boys want to go from 0 to 1,000 at once, and you can't. Learning on turning, stopping and turning and changing the direction. They love to just have it spin, make noises, and flash lights, which is, a boy thing. The lights, the colors, the strobe lights, and fading. We're working on sound, and they wanted the sound to come from the bolt, but it actually comes from the iPad. So they have said they want to reach out to Sphero to have that change. I don't know if that's going to work. And then simple steps of controls, loops, if then, continue forever, those types of things. And I've got a couple videos here, just very early learning, the things they learned at the very beginning. Here's something simple. Okay, that's just a straight line and a spin. And here, of course, typical boy just having it rock back and forth and spin. And we have evolved to, hold on just a second. And they're really proud of this one.
I'm leaving. I'm home.
Okay, so our goal now is, now that they're learning and they can turn and they can control this, is to create mazes. I have one who's already used tape, painter's tape on his floor to create a maze, and he is trying to get it to go through the maze, maybe back up, go into a corner, a corner, turn around and come back. So that is one of the goals as they get further into this and in their website that they're creating. So the website's going to start from beginners, which basically, like I said, to aim, to connect, to have it just go in a straight line, to move. all the way up to something like this last video, or even to moving along in mazes. So the Sphero app on an iPad has a different look than the website. So I've got a couple little snips there. There are 4 main controls on the left-hand side of the app. That's the home. That's where there's tutorials, lesson plans, and with steps. And you can get started there and find out what you're interested in. There's activities, which you can assign activities, but we can't in the guest mode. There's also the section called Sphero, which is filled with activities and challenges. There's community, which has submitted activities from other students. And my boys really want to submit what they learn in there. And what's great is another section called CS Foundations. The Computer Science Foundations by Sphero has their own videos and activities in there and show how they connect to the standards. And then the other tab is programs, and you sort it by your robot. So there are several different types of Spheros. I only have the bolts. And then you can, under Sphero, pick videos by Sphero. And then in the community, here's where my boys are interested. They're filled with submissions by other students and images. And the boys those students and boys are trying to collect likes, and they'll put more things in there. And then classes tab, management and assignments can be done in there. And like I said, the website is a little bit different, and I've got a snip of that at the bottom. And what's great about that is you can actually go in and specifically look for activities in math, science, coding, social studies, and art. You can sort it by grade level and your type of Sphero. And if JCPS is able to approve for students to log in, you can manage your classes and your students, but it can only be managed through the website. And our goal now, what we're working on right now, is to do our elevator pitch for STLP regionals next month. And they are each going to work on one of the areas: empowered learner, innovative designer, computational thinkers, global collaborators, knowledge constructors, creative communicators, and digital citizens. And I know that them trying to teach the other students how to do this and working together, that like we do every week in our club, that they'll hit all of those. And I hope that they can keep it under, 2 to 3 minutes, Russ?
It's 2 minutes. It's a 2-minute elevator pitch that they will be making about their project. Yeah.
Okay, so fingers crossed we can get it all into that. So that's our goal, and those will be due next month. And it was recommended that I just I don't know if anybody wants to ask any questions or comments, and then I can just kind of talk about actually what I do and how I'm able to do the Spheros from virtually and at school.
I don't see any questions. So, but I do have a question though. No questions in the chat, but my question. So you're just basically having kids record a video of how they're programming their Sphero, and then they upload it to like a Google Classroom.
Yeah, we have a special Google Classroom just for the boys, and they snap a picture of their program, they upload a video, and then we all try it, which I should have said that earlier. We try to do it and duplicate it, and then go and take it one step further, and then one step further. So as they're doing that, the website will show how they're building upon their knowledge to share with others.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, it's interesting, like with Spheros and taking them home, everybody, the whole family can experience the Sphero and the robot, right? Even the dog and cat, who probably don't care for the Sphero that much. But yeah, they everybody can experience the Sphero at home. Pretty neat.
Right. Yeah. The boy who has the tape on the floor, the mom said he had to take it up by Thanksgiving. It was like, no, I can't redo this over Thanksgiving. I can just tell everybody what I'm doing. Yes. And he has a dog at home that has a hard time and wants to bite it. We did find out they're waterproof, and some of them want to do something with water. And I know that I've heard that the district had a set, but it's just hard during this time. How do you get these home to the kids? How do you trust that they're going to take care of them? Because they are about $160 a piece, I believe. And I really do trust my team. I trust their parents, and I was willing to let them go just in case. So, but they have really enjoyed it. And the comments I get from the parents and the boys, and it's really been a positive experience because they're ready for something different, and they enjoy meeting in the clubs every week.
Yeah, it really is amazing what you're doing there at Bowen Elementary. Great opportunity for those kids. So this slide here where you talk about the digital learning lab, will you talk about that for a second? Because you're in a position at Bowen Elementary that really is unique to Bowen Elementary. So will you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so we, I guess 2 years ago, closed our computer lab, turned that into a classroom, and designed changed our library around to put some soundproof panels and put the library on one side and the digital learning lab on the other side. And the sad part about all of this was I had just gotten into it the week before we closed. I had used it off and on, but I was using it, that whole week, and then we closed. But teachers come into the lab with me. I am not a special area teacher. I am a coach, and I am in there collaborating with teachers. When they come in, they are learning right along with those kids. So if we're doing bolts when we get back, they're on the floor doing bolts. If we are working on something on an iPad or a Chromebook, the teachers are deep in it, because the goal is for them to integrate this technology in their classrooms on their own, and not think of it as, oh, we're going to see Miss Jackson just once a week, and that's the only time we're going to get technology. And my huge accomplishment this year was teachers coming to me and going, oh my gosh, I used this in the classroom and my kids loved it. Or, come and show me how to do this again. Because I always call them on-demand PDs. People now, even in NTI 2.0, call and say, hey, teach me about this really quick. So that's what's really neat about my job, and I'm able to do that. And at school, we used iPads with K2, but now my K2s will come back and they will just take off with Chromebooks, and I don't even know what we're going to do with the iPads anymore. Well, we still have plenty for different programs, but yeah, so that's been kind of my role for the last year and a half, and then virtually I'm basically doing the same thing except through a camera, doing the teaching.
Yeah, and so that's what's really important. Something that prior to NTI and COVID and all that, like, so many schools were taking kids to technology. It's like we had to go down the hall to the computer lab to do technology. Whereas, you guys at Bowen had this vision that, we're going to bring technology to everyone in our school. Every teacher is going to be a technology teacher. And with you in that role as coach, it's so amazing because those teachers got to see it with their students, because that's so important too, is like when you teach a teacher how to use a technology tool, sometimes it gets isolated into a staff meeting or a PLC, and they're not using it with students. So then they have to take a whole new approach to, how do I use this with students? But in your role, you are actually showing them how to use that tool with their students. So it's just so much more powerful. So kudos to Bowen Elementary and Lisa Wathen, for your principal, for thinking about this position.
Yeah, it has been very powerful. It's been rewarding, and I think the kids are more involved because they are able to talk to their teachers about it instead of just going off to the computer lab to learn something and then never do it again until the next week. So it's been great. It really has been, and I do appreciate her coming up with that idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's the end. So
all right.
Pretty cool.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Kathy. We really appreciate you, and this was great to see kind of robotics in this NTI world. So we really do appreciate you. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right, and so let's take a look at our schedule for today. We have at 10 o'clock digital scaffolds for English learners. So that's going to be some exciting stuff there with looks like a 5-person crew presenting on that. So digital scaffolds for English learners. And then after that at 10:30 we've got JCPS Justice Now Learning Hubs with Matthew Kaufman and Nairi Clayton Taylor. So I'm really kind of interested about that as well. I've seen Michelle Penix, former JCPS principal, on the news talking about learning hubs. So I kind of got a little bit of interest in that for sure. Fev Tutor at 11 o'clock with Sean Cicero. He's going to be talking about that. And then we take a lunch break from 12 to 12:30. And then it's back with Minecraft, and more Minecraft with Jim Unger. And we've seen Minecraft really surge up during this NTI 2.0 period as we launched it on our Chromebooks beginning a couple months ago. So very important stuff there with Jim Unger, our Minecraft lead. Stress management for students at 1:30. And then 2 o'clock, creating a culture of psychological safety. And then at 2:30, we've got whiteboards with Elaine Abernetha. So I'm assuming that's interactive whiteboards with Elaine Abernetha. I'm sure Jamboard's going to make an appearance on that. Just a prediction there. And then we end the day with Fev Tutor again with Sean Cicero. So really packed day of learning today on the JCPS Digital Learning channel. You can always access this schedule at the jcps.me/NTI website under the teacher toolkit. So let's take a look now at our Twitter hashtag, hashtag JCPSDigIn, and I'm going to refresh. And we've got Jim Unger tweeting about his Minecraft show today at 12:30. There's our JCPS Minecraft logo, so pretty neat. I think there are stickers coming on that, so you want to be on the lookout for that for sure. And then the show we just did, the Sphero during NTI, you can watch that on demand here in the next day or so if you missed it. And let's see if we've got anybody tweeting to the hashtag about stuff they are doing with kids today. Kathleen saying great advice. Let's see here. Oh, here's something from Ashley Pearson, and she's talking about using counters to help students understand multiplication. So pretty neat. Some digital manipulatives there. Oh, there was a show that we did. We kicked off the morning, the 8:30, the Computer Science Education Week with Danielle Washburn and Glenn Francisco and Jermaine Watkins, and Melody Walls joined us as well. Computer Science Education Week is really important here in JCPS, and we hope you will check out our website that I will post in the chat in just a second. And we hope you do the Hour of Code in December. Every year, we host an Hour of Code in JCPS as part of a national effort to get students to participate in 1 hour of code. And we hope that you will join us this year and register on that Hour of Code website. So lots of exciting stuff here this morning. And thinking about what we've got next, that digital scaffolds for English learners. I'm going to see if we've got people joining us so far right now. Hello, who's joining us here for this digital scaffold show?
Hello,
Hi.
I'm here.
Hi, Amy. All right, awesome.
Hi.
All right, and so Amy, will you tell us what your role is and just kind of introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello. My name is Amy Callisti. I've been working in JCPS for about 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And I've been, this is my 3rd year working as an ESL resource teacher at the elementary level for service Zone 2 schools.
All right, so Zone 2 crew. Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so who's joining you today?
Hi, my name is Lewis Jackson. I am also a Zone 2 ESL resource teacher. This is my 2nd year as a Zone 2 resource teacher and my 8th year in JCPS. So, here to help give these scaffolds and help people make instruction accessible to ESL learners.
Awesome. And then we've got one more. Hey, Renee.
Hello, my name is Renee Cannon. I also work with Zone 2, but I also dab into Zone 3 as well. I'm a little split between both. But I also work in elementary, and I've been in the district. I've lost count of how many years, but more than Lewis, less than Amy.
There you go. And I am Russ Hockenberry, Zone 3 Digital Innovation Leader, and I have been in JCPS for 16 years, believe it or not. So 16 years in JCPS, it just seems like it was yesterday I was starting out. So I'm sure you guys all feel the same way. Time flies when you're having fun. So I'm going to let you guys go ahead and get started with digital scaffolds for English learners.
All right, sounds good. I will share my screen and turn on the captions and get everything ready. We also have Elizabeth Rose. She's a middle school resource teacher, an ESL middle school resource teacher. She is also going to be managing the chat. So for any participant, if you have any questions or comments, please post them in the chat and we'd be happy to assist you. All right, everybody. Hello again and welcome. Welcome to our session, Digital Scaffolds for English Learners. Today, we are going to share some digital scaffolds that you can incorporate into your teaching to help make content more comprehensible for our English learners. With English learners comprising about 10% of the JCPS student population, we should all consider ourselves teachers of English learners, right? We all must have strategies and tools that best support our English learners in not only accessing challenging content, but also helping them acquire academic language as well. With the right scaffolding tools, we can easily incorporate the instructional strategy of digital scaffolding into our NTI experience. So let's get started. First, our department pulled together some research regarding best practices to support English learners in any JCPS classroom. We chose these 8 to share and to encourage all teachers to use with their instruction. And today we are going to talk about a few in our session. As always, our learning target or our goal for you as participants, I would hope that at the end of this session, you are able to identify a scaffold and then to also include a digital example of how the scaffold could be used with English learners. So we'll revisit this learning target at the end if time permits to see if we can all identify a scaffold and how we can digitize it to make it accessible for our English learners. So let's build some background. What is a scaffold? What does it mean to scaffold? So to start, scaffolding is more like backwards planning. You need to think about the finished product and then break down the product into smaller, less complex tasks. Within each task, provide specific instruction to help the English learners complete the task. Such examples could be using a graphic organizer within each step or having a word bank to help them throughout the task. Also, keep in mind that the tasks should build upon each other and increase in language complexity. So in this example, we see a picture support where students might label content vocabulary and then increase the language complexity by adding a graphic organizer and having students answer in phrases. And then maybe if they're ready to use sentence stems or paragraph frames to answer content assignments. In the end, each small task should contribute to the final product to help our English learners be successful. It's important to keep in mind that scaffolds will vary and change over time as our English learners' knowledge of content and their academic language increases. In fact, our goal when scaffolding for English learners is ultimately for them to be able to perform the task independently and without the use of scaffolds. In order to select appropriate scaffolds for English learners of varying proficiency levels, you need to know their background as well as their academic strengths and needs. Some scaffolds might be developmentally appropriate for all students, while others might be more appropriate for our beginning English learners. It's important to note that the need for a particular scaffold will vary depending on his or her familiarity with the content and with the complexity of the task. Now, I'm going to hand it over to Lewis, and he's going to explain the different types of scaffolds used with English learners and how we can make these accessible during our NTI experience.
Thank you, Amy. So, Support Ed has broken ESI scaffolds down to 3 different categories: materials and resources, instruction, and student grouping. Materials and resources being the tools that are at our fingertips that we can use to make instruction accessible to our ESO students. Instruction and how we deliver instruction in a way that is accessible to ESO students. And then student grouping, where we can look at working with students in different groups so they can help build upon each other's understanding and they're able to better grow together. So we're going to take these categories and then we're going to look at the different types of materials and resources that we can use to scaffold. So here we have the different materials and resources that we're going to look at today. So graphic organizers are a great tool that we can use to help our students understand by taking these and breaking them down. We're going to use Jamboard and Smart Learning Suite today. Dictionaries are a wonderful addition that we have to our read-write tool that will help students build their vocabulary that we're going to talk about and show how you can create those dictionaries or build them into your instruction. During the time of NTI, home language support is invaluable. So we're going to show how you can access that kind of support using those tools of Read, Write, and Google a Smart Learning Suite to help our students have more access. We really need to make sure that we're building our students' writing capacity and also reading. So when we deal with sentence frames and paragraph frames, we're going to discuss how those can be built and implemented into instruction to help students both respond to questions in instruction and even answer questions for assessments. Visuals are a key component to any EL instruction. So we're going to have a verbose conversation on how those can be implemented and the different ways that they can look when being implemented. And lastly, word walls. So word walls have to do with any kind of course, vocabulary we're talking about with our students. But with ELs, we want to be sure to use visuals with those word walls. So we're going to implement the picture word inductive model to kind of show how those can look in instruction. And now Amy is going to take us into our Jamboard and we're going to discuss what these look like moving forward.
Sure, yes.
Okay, so here is the text that we're going to be scaffolding today, right? This text is talking about flying beetles. So we're talking about fireflies and how they start as glowworms, which is a very science-based text. And without any kind of background information, it can be very difficult for our ELs to access. So we're going to show how we can use all those materials and resources to make sure that our ELs get the most out of this text. So starting off, when we introduce a new concept, we want to be sure that we're using a large amount of visuals for ELs, right? Things that we might take for granted as far as understanding can be barriers to their growth. So we want to make sure that even a simple mosaic like this, where we're talking about fireflies, we can discuss what they see, clouds, the sky, fireflies, the luminescence on them, all those things can be built into a conversation based on an image. So this is a step that should never be left out. So here we have a little deeper level into where we're going to be doing visuals. So we can break down each individual image and discuss. We can move around the text so that way students can have a chance to discuss the images before we actually try reading them, right? So we can discuss the firefly, the different components, and then label them. We can label the glowworm. And when we have maps, we can actually label the regions on the map so students can identify where they can find them at. So this is a great tool to help familiarize students with what they're seeing as far as vocabulary goes. And again, we want to make sure that all of their instruction is rooted in image because their language is growing. Moving forward, we can have a word wall. Now, most of us are used to seeing word walls consist of just the words that we build upon. With our ELs, we want to be a little more fluid with how we do this. So we're going to use a pseudo picture word inductive model to build a word wall where we have an image that has many different components to it. And we can use things students are familiar with, like we can discuss, do we see a flower? The students can respond to you. We can label it, read the word, and then we can build upon that, right? Things like spider, things like caterpillar. So all of these things that we can discuss with our students where they're learning what these words mean and learning how to read them. And then we can revisit this wall as much as we would like during the entire stretch of the unit. So it's an invaluable way to both anchor their vocabulary growth in an image, and also for us so that they can revisit and even interact with themselves. So it gives a lot of leeway in how we provide the instruction.
And Lewis, I just wanted to add to that, as students progress through their language proficiency, you can add adjectives and verbs to the picture word inductive model, and you keep referencing back to this picture to continue to build language development.
Yes, thank you, Amy. We didn't discuss that, but yes, the words in this can be used to make sentences, to create narratives. So there's so much that can be done to build upon this, but just that baseline, of course, is very necessary, but it's very versatile as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so I know the Digital Learning Channel has been doing a lot with Smart Learning Suite. And we're going to talk about a few different ways you can use Smart Learning Suite to scaffold your lessons. And so they have, I heard this phrase, smartify your lessons. And so I just kind of wanted to give you a brief overview. With Smart Learning Suite, you can build your lessons. You can import Google Slides, or you can start from scratch. And then Amy, if you can kind of hover over like where you can insert YouTube videos down there and there. Yeah. And you can insert games and different activities. You can insert all kinds of different things. And we're going to talk about some of those scaffolds. But I just wanted you to kind of be aware that we're going to talk about Smart Learning Suite. And if you need some more tips and tricks for how to use it, check out some of the shows on Digital Learning Channel. But we're just going to be talking a little bit about the scaffolds that it provides. So on the next slide, you'll see one of those ways that you can use to scaffold your lessons. I think we skipped a page somewhere. Did we skip a page? There should be one with manipulatives. I might have taken it out, but we'll find it. There it is. Manipulatives with Smart Learning Suite. This, I believe, was a new addition that they added, and I really, really love these. So what you can do is you can add any of these manipulatives. There's 15 different ones to choose from, and you can add them to your lesson. And they're basically interactive manipulatives that you can use to display in front of the class, or even to assign to students to work with. And there are many different math manipulatives in there. You know, there's coins and fraction bars, but I also saw some for science and even for reading. So there's many different manipulatives that you can choose from. But these manipulatives are great for English learners because they need that visual in front of them to be able to work with that content. I especially love the coins for elementary. I always know money is a very difficult concept for English learners, and having that money there for them to manipulate and move around would be really great for them, as well as the calendar. So there's lots of great manipulatives to choose from in Smart Learning Suite, and that would be a great support and scaffold for English learners. And I think Amy's going to go back one so that we can talk about dictionaries. And so with these dictionaries, these are super important for English learners, and especially our older English learners that are more familiar with their home language. And so again, I know the Digital Learning Channel has done a lot with read-write, but I can't emphasize enough how great of a tool this is. And for English learners, this dictionary support is crucial. So what I like about it is that where Amy was showing you, you can click on that dictionary button, you can click on the picture dictionary button, and those can stay on the screen while you're working through a text. So you'll notice in this slide, you know, we've got that text on the slide, and as a student highlights a word, the dictionary pops up with the definition. And also if there's a picture available, the picture will pop up as well. This is an invaluable tool for English learners because they can, you know, have that more autonomy to work on a harder, more complex text because they have these tools to assist them. And so the other tool on this page is the translate feature on ReadWrite, which we love. And it's not available for every language, but there are a lot of languages in there, and it can do a word-by-word translation. And so we love to leave that open as well when we need that home language support. And so if we skip ahead 2 slides, I believe, Amy, we'll talk a little bit more about home language support. And home language support is very crucial for our newly arrived English learners who are still building their English capacity. And so they might need a little bit more support using their home language. And another way we found to do that through ReadWrite is to use voice note. And so if you have text in Google Docs, it only works in Google Docs. So if you have some text in there and you want to add some support and audio support, what you would do is select the text like where Amy's showing, and then you would go up to voice note and click it. And when you click on voice note, it opens a little audio recorder and allows you to record a short voice note. And we were thinking this would be great for somebody that is multilingual, like a teacher that is multilingual, and could record some translations for that text. And so you can insert multiple notes in a Google Doc, and it would be a great support for students. But what if you're not multilingual? Well, that's okay. You can still include paraphrasing or simplified language, directions, anything you can to support those students. So we think this is a great way to kind of give students a little boost with content.
And Renee, even with added practice, students can eventually upload their own speaking practice, right?
That's right. So students can then be trained to record their own voice notes. And so they could respond to text or, to a visual prompt. And so it's another great way for especially ESL teachers to monitor the language growth of their students. So it's a really great tool. It can be used in many different ways.
Thank you.
So then another way we found in Smart Learning Suite is when you are working on slides and building slides in Smart Learning Suite, there's a little audio recorder at the bottom of the screen that will allow a teacher to record. And so again, this could be a way where if you're multilingual, you could record yourself talking it, or you could do translations, any kind of help that you could give them. That would be a great support for students. And this could be assigned to them and something that they could listen to over and over again. So we really like that feature from Smart Learning Suite.
Okay, well, another scaffold that is really helpful for English learners that you can easily embed into any digital format is sentence frames. You can embed sentence frames in a variety of digital tools such as Google Docs, drawings, and you can even embed a sentence frame into a chat of Google Meet or Microsoft Teams. A sentence frame is just reducing the linguistic load of a sentence. And the great thing about Jamboard and what we use for this example is the interactivity of allowing students to manipulate pictures and words to meet the academic demands of the content that they are working with. A great way with sentence frames is you can use these as stems to get kids talking to one another. The important thing to remember as you're choosing how to develop a sentence frame is just to mimic the academic language within your content. Provide examples of them to speak and write and read with the academic language presented. Another important tip with sentence frames is to consider to vary the language complexity of the sentence frame based on their language proficiency level. So remember, a scaffold is a temporary support. So as students acquire more language, encourage them to perform the task independently. Maybe just remove more words and have them fill in more blanks as a way to vary the language complexity.
I think that's a really good point, Amy. And one thing a lot of people don't think about is they think sentence frames are only for beginning English learners. But that's not true, because we could also teach our more advanced English learners more complex sentence structures. And so they still need that frame, but for a more complex structure. So I think that's a great point, that sometimes we only think about them as being for beginning English learners, but you can use them in a variety of different ways.
Thank you, Renee. Yes. So another scaffold that supports writing development could be a paragraph frame. And in this example, we just use Jamboard. This is great scaffold to help English learners build their ideas. Here, I've incorporated a paragraph organizer and sentence frames within each paragraph to help students organize their ideas. I've also included word banks and picture support so they can incorporate that into their writing. And then, of course, once they finish their ideas, they can take those and create their own finished version. So this is another great way to incorporate writing into the use of paragraph frames and Jamboard. Now, Renee is going to talk about how Smart Learning Suite also has examples of using sentence frames with this digital tool.
I love this little close feature that they have in Smart Learning Suite. It's super easy to build. Took me, maybe a minute to build this little close activity. And so a lot of times we think the closed activities are really simple, but if you're a beginning English learner and you're learning to work with the language, sometimes this is a great activity for you to practice the language. And one option you have in there is to set it to check automatically. So if a student tried to drag an incorrect word into the box, it would reject it and throw it back out. So it gives them that kind of instantaneous feedback. So we love this as an activity for students to practice their vocabulary or to practice certain language activities as well. So another great activity from Smart Learning Suite. It's super simple to embed in an existing presentation. It's just a little activity that you would insert in there. And so with graphic organizers, everybody uses graphic organizers. And with Jamboard, it's super easy to throw in a graphic organizer either as an image or to draw one in there. And then to go over and grab a sticky note or a text box and use that to fill in the graphic organizer. We think it's swell. We love a Jamboard for that, especially when you're trying to customize your own content and things like that. So it's great to use for that. But we also wanted you to know that in Smart Learning Suite, there are 21 different graphic organizers that are already pre-made for you to use. And graphic organizers are really critical for your English learners because sometimes they don't know where to start. And so a graphic organizer can be that support for English learners and help them to really kind of organize their thinking. And so when you use them in Smart Learning Suite, you could use it as a whole group and, to be displaying it for the students and mark it up together, or you can assign them for students to work on individually. So I know you only see 4 examples here, but there were tons and tons of great graphic organizers from Smart Learning Suite. And so we just want you to know that they're already available and you don't have to create these, which I think for teachers is amazing.
It is. Yes.
Okay, so we have had the privilege to discuss several different scaffolds with you using the materials and resources at your fingertips right now. However, we do understand that scaffolding can be a daunting task, and not everybody has the idea of what a scaffold for an EL looks like. So we have the benefit of last year having to, as the ESL resource team, scaffolding many of the choice board tasks that were on those 6 choice boards. So we wanted to make you aware that those are still great examples to go back and look at for each individual grade and for different subjects. So for example, if you are a 5th grade teacher wanting to know, well, how can I scaffold a math concept for a student? Or if you're a high school teacher saying, how can I scaffold a Algebra 2 task for a student? Or English or social studies, any of those, please take the time to go back and look at those scaffolds because they are a great resource to use even today, and then great to get ideas about what you can do to make more information accessible to our English learners.
Okay, thank you. Well, it's always great as teachers to revisit our learning target. So we have some time in the chat. I would like to see what was a scaffold? Identify a scaffold that we had shared with you and how you can digitize this scaffold to use with your English learners during NTI. Of course, I've also included a sentence frame for your support. One example of a digital scaffold that could be used with English learners is, so let's see, is anyone in the chat? I'll go ahead and unshare my screen so I can see everyone. And let's see what digital scaffolds our participants, what are their biggest takeaways?
We're on a little bit of delay, so we'll give them a few seconds on that. I just think it's amazing that, I mean, Jamboard was just so ever present in everything you guys did there, and just kind of the app smashing you guys did with Smart Learning Suite and Jamboard. I mean, it's amazing, like how pervasive Jamboard is now in our digital world. So pretty cool. When nobody was using it, you go back to January, February, not one person was using Jamboard. So it's amazing that we've come so far. So Elizabeth Rose says, I can't wait to explore Smart Learning Suite. So that's exciting.
That is exciting.
Anything else? I'm not seeing.
No problem. Yes.
much in the chat there. Yeah, it's all right. You guys, this is a very valuable show with lots of information. I took a bunch of pictures using my phone of your scaffolds because I mean it's just such a great to have these examples out there to show people when they ask, how do I do this? So thank you so much for joining us today, guys.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much. We are going to look at our schedule for coming up for the Digital Learning Channel, and we've got JCPS Justice Now Learning Hubs, which happens at 10:30 with Matthew Kaufman and Nairi Clayton Taylor, and then after that at 11 o'clock we've got Fev Tutor with Sean Cicero, and then we take our lunch break. And we're back with Minecraft. Minecraft is huge this year. Chromebooks. Your Chromebooks have Minecraft on it, which was a big win for not only JCPS but everyone when Minecraft Chromebook thing happened. And then that's an hour show because there's a lot of stuff to get in there. Hence the more Minecraft in the title. And then at 1:30 we've got stress management for students, which is absolutely an important topic. Particularly this time of year when combined with COVID, definitely a pertinent topic. And then creating a culture of psychological safety at 2 o'clock. And then my colleague Elaine Abernathy will be presenting on whiteboards. So I'm sure Jamboard will come up again on that, as well as probably Smart Learning Suite at the 2:30 show with Elaine Abernathy. And then we end the day at 3 o'clock at Fev Tutor Show again with Sean Cicero. So lots of exciting things happening on the Digital Learning Channel today. Let's check out the hashtag to see what's going on, what you were tweeting about. And Kathleen Receiver is tweeting about where to find Smart Learning Suite. Yeah, so you just go to your Waffle. She made a great GIF there, a little video. You go to your Waffle, you scroll down, and you've got Smart Learning Suite right there. So perfect, and definitely mind blown emoji there. So great. And then James Unger is tweeting about his Minecraft show at 12:30, and then we've got a bunch of other stuff happening. We did a Sphero show about an hour ago with Kathy Jackson. So you'll want to catch that on demand. Doing lots of innovative stuff there at Bone Elementary. So fun stuff. And with that in mind, let's go to our back to our hangout and learn about JCPS Justice Now Learning Hubs. And so Matthew Kaufman is joining us, and Nairi, I'm sure, is on the way. But Matthew, you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. So I'm Matt Kaufman, 2020 Kentucky High School Teacher of the Year. And I am a co-founder of Justice Now. We're so excited to launch this. And my partner in this is Nairi Clayton Taylor.
Awesome. All right. Hello, Nairi. Do you want to introduce yourself? Hello, Nairi. Would you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm so sorry. I was, well, my name is Nyree Clayton Taylor. I am elementary to my heart, K through 5, but now I'm working 3rd through 6th grade. I'm co-founder of the wonderful new program, Justice Now Learning Hubs, and I'm the 2019 Kentucky Elementary Teacher of the Year.
Wow, so there's a lot of hardware on this panel right now, so very good. Excellent. So let's go ahead and get started, guys. Who's going to be presenting?
I'll present. I'm just looking for a share on this. Can you show me how to present on here?
Can you click on the 3 dots up top? You see the 3 dots?
You.
Snowman.
Got you. Okay. So what we have for you today then is just going to be a general walkthrough of Justice Now. We've adapted the presentation a little bit and aiming this at an educator audience and a student audience. And I'm just waiting for my computer to load right now. I got that turning wheel.
Oh, it takes
is what's happening.
It's taking some power for sure. So Matthew, where do you teach?
So I taught at Marion C. Moore for the past 6 years, and I started off this school year there. But we've been pitching Justice Now since June this past summer. So we did kind of a miracle play here, and they transitioned me from Moore to this new hub.
All right.
And so that's where we're at this spot.
Excellent.
And I'm still just waiting for my computer to.
All right, we'll get there. And then Nyree, I know you were at Wheatley Elementary for a long while, and then after Wheatley, didn't you go somewhere else?
Yes, I went to Wheatley. I was teaching at Wheatley for 8 years. This would have been my 8th year, and then I was like, oh, I need something different, so I transferred to Price Elementary School, and I was there just for a little while, but I learned so much. And so I was there for a few months and then transitioned into Justice Now. Is it work? Do you want me to try mine?
I may have to log off and come back on. Do you want to try, Nyree?
Yeah, let me try.
Yeah, let's see if Nyree can.
I'm going to exit out of here and try to come back on. My computer's frozen on this gray screen.
All right. Yeah, try that. Usually that works.
Oh, cool.
I see Nyree's. Yeah. All right.
Oh, wait. That's the wrong. I apologize. We have everything.
All right. And then if you just want to go, yep, perfect. And then if you could click that hide button down at the bottom where it says you're sharing your screen.
Alrighty.
And then close captioning. So click on the little down arrow by close captioning. And then make it your text size large or extra large.
You want it extra large.
That sounds great.
And yep. What else?
And you're good to go. You're good to go now. Perfect.
Okay. We are ready.
All right, let's do it.
Hello. I am Nyree Clayton Taylor, and my partner Matt. Is he on here? He had to log off. So we're gonna just get started. Welcome, Jefferson County teachers and educators and students, welcome. And we want to talk to you today about Justice Now Learning Hubs. And what we want you to know is that Louisville is our classroom and Justice is our curriculum. And so at Justice Now, we have a mission. And our mission is Justice Now will empower students to be the change as we make Louisville our classroom and justice our curriculum. with Justice Now is the program, is the school that Matt and I are using to empower our students to make a change in the community. And for 14 weeks, students will be able to participate in learning of a magnitude of standards and justice. And so from there, once they've learned and presented, then there will be a Justice Fest. And at Justice Fest, students will present their collaborative projects to an audience filled with potential partners and funders in order to advance their work and increase their leadership capacity. So not only are students going to learn, but they're going to take their learning and present, and they are going to be students that will be able to have nonprofits, start a business, and use their entrepreneurship to get funded from local business leaders.
And what's so cool about this is that we're creating an inter-school movement. So at Justice Fest, it's not a competition where we've got one or two winners. We're developing 4 really, really strong justice cohorts who will then be presenting their work to a wide array of funders to continue their projects and to keep bringing it to the next level. And this can be the same project kids do year after year after year as they continue to grow it. The limits of our work here are the limits of our imagination.
So why Justice Now? We know that this year has been a year. This year, our African American students especially have faced a pandemic within a pandemic, and they've been exposed to repeated images of racial trauma due to police brutality, heightened gun violence in their communities, and a disproportionate spread of COVID-19 in their communities. And it is because of these factors that Matt and I and Ashley Lamb Sinclair, we sat down and thought, what can we do to help students in our community? And so that's what Justice Now will do. Justice Now is a platform for students that will encourage civic engagement, provide an educational hub that intertwines racial equity and deeper learning in the backpack, and it will recognize the skills that students have already learned during this pandemic, and understands that our students are coming back to us differently than they left. School has to change.
And so this slide just shows like that Nyree and I and Ashley Lamb Sinclair, we worked this summer to really put this program together. It's really powerful because it's an intergenerational model. We've got elementary, middle, and high school kids together in this hub with the natural mentorship that happens with that. We're also wrapping them around with a larger community that empowers them to create tangible results in systemic reform. So these students will be working side by side with their teachers and a wide array of community leaders through our advisory council who have been doing this justice work in the community. So kids want to start their own nonprofits, their own businesses, become grassroots organizers, become tomorrow's legislators. Our advisory council is filled with nonprofit founders like Karina Barales with La Casita Center, like Lamont Collins from Roots 101, African American Museum. It's filled with entrepreneurs like Tawana Bain. It's filled with legislators like Ja'Cory Arthur. So we've got a really powerful group here. And these are the schools that we are linking arms with high school, middle, and elementary. And so we're meeting twice a week with them as a whole cohort, and then doing individual meetings also. And this is going to be the foundation of our inter-school movement that we're going to be building off of.
And so when we talk about who is Justice Now, this school is for all students. It's for students with mixed ability. It's for students who are engaged and not engaged in NTI. It's for students who are who are asking those tough questions during NTI and who are already coming to us with that justice mindset. And so this will impact students because it's their passion. It's their passion. And yes, it's a passion project, but it's deeper than a passion project because these students are going to enact change in the community. We have a number of teachers who have gone out of their way to say that they want to work in this initiative with us. And so we are excited about the partnership that we will be able to extend with our teachers and our students.
This just gives you a little bit of an idea of how we're selecting students from schools. Numbers are going to vary. Some schools are wanting us to submit 40 kids. Some are getting about 15. But this is how we started presenting to principals. And we're growing our student roster from the teachers and the schools out. And again, we're so excited about this because it is intergenerational, elementary, middle, and high. And it's also getting schools to collaborate with each other. So often we've been in competition, and we're just so excited about the partnerships that will happen as schools link arms together to address justice issues in their communities.
And so, like Matt had talked to you about earlier, that these students, this is going to be a different type of learning. Very different. And the learning is not going to be centered on the teacher. The learning is going to come from the students, of course, but it's also going to come from our advisory ambassador council. If you look, these are the names of the advisory council. We have Councilman Ja'Cory Arthur, who is the youngest councilman ever to be here in Louisville. Tawana Bain. We have Karina Bursalis. We have Andrew Brennan. We have Lamont Collins of Roots 101. We have Councilwoman Keisha Dorsey. We have Hannah Drake, a poet and an activist. Just think, the students in your classroom that want to write poetry, they can get a TED Talk by Hannah Drake. We have Theo Edmonds, Odwin Helton, who was helpful. He was so helpful with starting Justice Now and a very big advocate of our work. We have Shamika Paris Wright. We have Miss Michelle Penix, Kish Kumi Price from the Urban League, Wendy Cerisho from We Day, Angela Masden, and Dr. Monica Unseld. And this is what this Ambassador Advisory Council will do. They will partner with students and teachers in justice and increase the opportunities and the resources for our students. They'll magnify the work of our students, and they'll increase the reach and voice of our students. The students will understand their spheres of influence. They'll understand what they can do, that if they dream it, they can do it because they are our future now.
And so when we start this, we have 4 major Justice Now cohorts, and students are going to need to find which cohort they really want to commit their time to this year. These are the 4 cohorts that will be presenting for our main event at Justice Fest to get funding to continue their work. So we created big umbrellas that we can fit anything under. The major thing that we know is those who do the leading do the learning. So it's what do kids want to lead on? Do they want to lead on, equal rights for all people? We're fighting for everybody. We know we're at our best when we all link arms and march forward together. So this is going to be a place for young African American, Latinx, LGBT, immigrant and refugee, for allies, to come together and to fight for a world that welcomes and embraces all of us. We know we're in the midst of climate change. We know we've got serious problems in Louisville with pollution in different areas of our community. So do we want to fight for that? Do we want to organize for that? And look at what we can do to improve the air, soil, and water in our community. We can also address educational justice. That'll be the civic empowerment gap, how students are getting their history or not getting their history in certain classes. Again, how we can leverage our privilege and resources and skills, and also looking at suspension and expulsion rates. But we want kids to really voice their concerns, and their ideas on what kind of education they need. We know we are living in a constantly changing world, and our educational system needs to change with it. And they're also be looking at community investment and disinvestment. And so again, we just put an umbrella underneath there of things that our students can explore and discuss. But ultimately, they're going to be the ones driving these issues, and we're going to be wrapping resources around them to increase their leadership capacity, their expertise, and prepare them to really put their dream into action. So I just wanted to give you an idea of what a possible project looks like. So through a collaborative intersectional model, every bit of knowledge, skills, and resources students gain will be utilized to address justice issues of their choosing. So 2 years ago, the Aspen Challenge came to Louisville, and my students took on the project of normalizing the conversations with mental health and getting rid of that stigma. One of my students, Soraya Mason, who is the girl in front on this photo from NPR, she wrote a letter to every single legislator in Kentucky. And I'm going to read an excerpt there. And this shows the justice issue that she really wanted to focus on. Here's what she said. There are no classes I've been exposed to that teach African American history with any kind of credible authority. We need credible experts on African American history in our schools to help fill the knowledge gap that we are enduring now and help put an end to the mental health crisis this lack of knowledge is creating. We are learning in a system that is systematically depriving us of crucial knowledge on who we are and where we come from. It is my belief that many behavioral infractions in the school to prison pipeline is a direct result of us being denied our history. After she wrote that letter, Attica Scott reached out. She agreed to pre-file this bill. And then those students that are behind her, and Soraya, they wrote every single state legislator in Kentucky to get co-sponsors for this bill. And now it's sponsored as House Bill 9. It's actually been filed. And so we have that justice issue now, right? So now we have to imagine a project that utilizes an interdisciplinary approach to create tangible results and systemic reform on this race and education justice issue. So imagine how we could use history, literature, civics, psychology, music, theater, art, math, everything. What kind of products, what kind of calls to action and movements for reform that can be created because of this intersectional and this interdisciplinary approach. One thing our students will be able to do is create children's books this year. We have a partnership with Young Authors Greenhouse, and they're going to be publishing an anthology of our students' work, but they've also agreed to partner with us on a children's book. So linked in this presentation that I know you're making available to everybody is a link to that book. You can buy it at Carmichael's right now. This book focuses on intersectionality and kids embracing their superpowers of compassion and kindness. Next slide, please. And so after we imagine these disciplines and projects, imagine the partners we have. So this is a race, historical, and educational justice issue. So we've got partnerships with museums. We have partnerships with universities. We have partnerships with a publisher. Next slide, please. And here's some of the products we could create. We can create a children's book that teaches about and shows the connections between the abolitionist movement, the civil rights movement, and now, and how the slaves are the ones that freed themselves. We could listen to the radio plays from Actors Theater they're putting out right now and create a series of monologues and songs that utilize Black historical figures to teach about Black history and move our audience to action as we're getting that knowledge from Roots 101 and Kentucky Historical Society. You know, after we create this show, we could, and when it's safe, we can bring one on the road, take it to other schools across the city, state, country. We could create exhibits and put them in our museums, with our partners in our museums, and enter them in national competitions so they can get placed in DC. And of course, everything we do, we're looking to create tangible products, but also argue some kind of systemic reform. So in this case, for this particular project, we'll be arguing and supporting House Bill 9. But each one of our coalitions, as they're creating tangible products, they're also going to be arguing against a bill, for a bill, or the creation of a bill. You can also think about the role of public art. So this is a potential project that documents ancestors and present-day leaders in the civil rights movement in Louisville. There's a group of Louisville artists and organizers working with Roots 101 on this right now. Lamont Collins has also opened up his museum to us to do a mural on his staircase at that museum. So just imagine that our kids, as they use Louisville as their classroom, Injustice as their curriculum, and seek to transform their city through products, through art, through business, through innovation, and all building up to Justice Fest, where they dream big and make that ask as we fill that room with funders to help support these kids' work and push it forward.
And so what I want you to think about is just how we can reimagine education. And so, and to know that our students during this pandemic, they have been learning. And so that we need to acknowledge what they've been learning. And so I just want to show you just 2 videos, especially this video with students and how they were interacting with Jacori Arthur. Oops, excuse me, I'm sorry. And then also students use their voice to protest Breonna Taylor's death. And so here's a group of students that you probably know that go to a number of schools in Jefferson County, and this is how they use their voice. My goodness. Well, I can't show the video, so I will just go to the next slide. And so what we want students to understand is that even though we do not want students to feel like that they should not be proud of their neighborhood, because that's not what we're going to do. We want students to be proud of where they're from. I, for one, grew up in the West End, and I love the West End. But we want students to be able to see what is it that you love about your neighborhood and what is it that you could change in your neighborhood. And so one of those projects could be them providing a fresh market in their neighborhood because they're of the food desert, because of the lack of grocery stores in the community. And so Matt and his students were talking about using a mobile food justice truck where this bus could travel to all parts of the community and help those residents with urban gardens. And then we could take it a step further. I mean, what is wrong with us in the Jefferson County, where in the West End, where we could have a fresh open market of all of the gardens that are in the West End, where some of the schools are even planting food, but we sell it at a fresh open garden that's ran by our students in our community. So this project has so many capabilities, and we know that once our students get a hold of it, that it will change. We just have the blueprint. We're just going to send it out there, but we understand that our students are coming to us with bigger and better ideas. We also understand that students love Jefferson County and our alumni want to work with us. We have students here. You see Matt with his students who graduated in 2019 and 2020, but still want to come back to work with our students in Justice Now. And we want to provide a place for them to mentor our students and to help our students so they can turn around and do the same things to the students that come up in the future.
And so this summer, we know our alumni were really active. You know, Ariana Tule is down there in the bottom left-hand corner. She was one of the original Aspen Challenge participants in Louisville. Since she's graduated, she's continued to work with the Aspen Challenge. There's an article attached on here about how she talks about the revolution is not optional, you know, and we all have our place in this. And Justice Now has a major place in this as we empower students to really embrace Dr. King's fierce urgency of now. And now is not a time for apathy or indifference, but it's a time for a multitude of positive actions. And so that's what Justice Now really is. We're dedicating ourselves to our kids to empower them to do good works. So we'll take a major issue like the rights for all people, right? And there's going to be many projects on that one issue. And that's what we'll be presenting at Justice Fest. And so the message of Justice Now is spreading throughout the community. You know, and the Courier Journal did an article on us a little while ago, and you see the young prodigies up there behind Ariana Tule and how, you know, we're dedicating this hub to empower students to solve systemic issues in Louisville. Our kids can't vote, but they got a voice and they got power and they can change things. They know they've inherited systems that have been, in many cases, designed against them, and they're not fair. And so we're about empowering them to be the change. We're also going to be presenting at a conference this Saturday that JCTA Racial Equity Committee is putting on. It's called Filling in the Gaps, Whole Child Education in a COVID World. There's a link down there. It says bit.ly. You can see that. You can still sign up for that. And it's an all-star cast of presenters.
And so what we want you to understand is that we're all in this together, and that with Justice Now Learning Hubs and DEP, that we will be able to help and mentor about 250 Jefferson County students. And so what we want you to do is to repeat after us. What do we want?
Justice.
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. And you know what's awesome is looking at the people on your board. I mean, you've got people there that have taught and been a part of JCPS schools. Ja'Cory Arthur taught at Hyde Elementary as a music teacher. Michelle Penix was a longtime principal at Mill Creek Elementary and left the profession earlier this year. But, you know, in her post-JCPS life, she's become such a powerful figure and powerful voice for this movement.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Absolutely.
So excellent.
Absolutely. We're feeling very, very proud with our advisory council. We got experts in education and in justice across every discipline, and it's intersectional, interdisciplinary, intergenerational, and feel so fortunate to bring our kids into that movement.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Matthew and Nairi. And a great message there. So, all right. Later, guys.
Thank you.
All right. So
Thank you.
We have got Fev Tutor coming up at 11 o'clock here with Sean Cicero. Hello, Sean.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, great. And so you've been on the channel before. Are you going to be repeating a lot of the same information, or if you got new stuff okay, perfect. And so I'm really excited to learn about Fev Tutor because I actually do not know what Fev Tutor is. So I'm going to be learning alongside our audience here. So, Sean, I'm going to let you take it away.
Awesome. Go ahead and share my screen.
Perfect.
Are you able to see those slides?
Yes, I do see them, and then you're a pro here at this already, so you know to hide and you do your closed captioning.
Yes. Hopefully they are on.
Yeah, if you click on the down arrow, can you click on that little caret next to closed caption, and then make your text size large or extra large?
All right.
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining today, and thanks for the opportunity to hop on and talk a little bit about FEB Tutor. I'm going to provide some background and more information of what we are, what we do. I'm going to run through a live demonstration, tutoring demonstration for what it looks like from a student's perspective, and then I will show how students can schedule sessions and access FEB Tutor going forward. But definitely, if there's any questions throughout, shout out, chat box, whatnot, definitely want to make sure everyone gets all their questions answered. Cool. So diving right in, thinking about FEB Tutor, we really work to affect change in K through 12 education, and we do that by providing data-driven, highly targeted, live, one-on-one instruction. We do this in a couple different ways. This live one-on-one instruction is every time a student logs on, they meet with a real life tutor, whether it's a scheduled tutoring session or a on-demand session that's available to students. And every time they will meet with that live tutor, and we work to match students up with the same tutor every single time. So students are able to build a relationship, feel comfortable, and really engage in the lesson. We provide 24/7 access for students. So tutoring is available scheduled sessions from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night, but then we also have an on-demand option where students can access a tutor anytime, day or night. We have this on-demand function, which I'll go into a little bit more detail and show you all how students will access that piece. We have a family student engagement team here at FEB Tutor that really work to reach out to families and students and do exactly what it says, engage, and really work to check in, provide academic consultation calls, and schedule students for tutoring throughout the week. We work to connect to the core learning environment of JCPS, and the goal is to be a direct extension of the classroom, not to replace teachers, but just to provide an extra layer of support for students in any subject that they may need support in at any time. We love feedback and really appreciate it. So we work to empower that student voice and directly solicit student feedback at the end of every tutoring session. But with our family and student engagement team, we work to also solicit feedback from parents. And then as an academic success coach, I work closely with teachers and administrators to get their feedback at all times. So we're able to really create top-notch and provide those top-notch tutoring sessions every single time a student logs on. Cool. So we provide this live one-on-one instruction to really extend learning opportunities and accelerate outcomes for all students. We provide through our tutoring sessions, whether it's scheduled or on demand, really adaptive learning style options so we're able to meet the needs of all students. We have options for our verbal, auditory, kinesthetic learners that's available in that dashboard, and I'll walk through that in just a few moments. This live one-on-one instruction I mentioned, every time a student logs in, they meet with a real life tutor. These tutors have at least a bachelor's degree in the subject that they are tutoring in, 2 years teaching or tutoring experience, and are FBI checked, background checks. So they are, and in addition, they go through a boot camp with us to make sure that they are ready for their tutoring sessions with students. We provide interactive, standard aligned content. Every time a student logs on to a tutoring session, they're working from an individualized learning plan that was created just for them based on the standards, JCPS standards. At the end of every session, students will complete a research-based assessment item, these exit tickets, that we'll use, tutors use, our instructional team use to gauge a student's mastery of a concept. Safety and accountability is super important to us, and so all sessions and chat history between student and tutor are recorded and available for students to review, parents, guardians, teachers, administrators to review at any time. PBI SIS and SEL is also super important to us, and we really actively work to build student confidence every time a student logs into their tutoring session. We really want to create a safe space where students feel comfortable in asking questions, participating, making mistakes within that tutoring session with their tutor. And then lastly, we provide language adaptation through a Google Translate toggle, which is in the student dashboard and in that student whiteboard space, which I'll show you in just a second, where students are able to toggle back and forth between English and their preferred language. We offer 40 different languages that students are able to switch back and forth from, and it really just allows students to better access the content from start to finish in their tutoring session. We offer 24/7 live homework help and coursework support. So at any time, like I mentioned, day or night, 1 a.m., 5 a.m., what have you, 2 p.m., students can log on and connect with the tutor at all times. So if they are accessing that on-demand session, they can connect to a tutor within 20 to 30 seconds. We provide support through all subject areas, those core 4 subjects: science, math, social studies, and ELA. And we have the ability to support your entire district. Right, okay. So in this progress monitoring piece here, so we think it's important to engage all key stakeholders throughout the entire tutoring process, because we know that all stakeholders, students, parents, teachers, administrators, all have a stake in a student's success. So it's important for us to keep everyone in the loop. And we do that by providing weekly progress reports, which include attendance rates, exit ticket scores, the lessons that were covered during each session. We also provide attendance notifications to stakeholders. So if a student ever misses a session, parents will be, all parties will be notified, and our team, our family and student engagement team, will work to reschedule a student for another session for a time that works better for their schedule at no cost or consequence to that student. We also provide real-time alerts and reminders to students. So students will get, and all stakeholders will get a reminder the morning before their scheduled tutoring session, and then another reminder 10 minutes before, just as an added layer of communication and as an extra notification. And then I mentioned that family and student engagement team. This team is, and I know that JCPS has a family and student engagement team of their own, and so this team is just going to act as an extra layer to provide ongoing communication about FEB Tutor through phone calls, emails, and text messages to really create the collaborative awareness building and empower families to opt in. We think it's important that families are able to speak directly to a person and know that there's a person behind FEB Tutor that's actively working to schedule them for tutoring sessions, check in and just see how things are going, and to provide those academic consultation calls that I mentioned. And then the biggest piece with this team is our technical and scheduling support. We have a FSC, or a support email address, and a phone number for FEB Tutor that parents, teachers, all parties can contact at any time for scheduling support, technical support. If a student ever forgets their username and password, they're able to contact that phone number or that email address and get typically a response within 10 minutes of its email, and help. And we're able to provide with them with those login credentials, check in about if we're having trouble logging in or whatnot. We're there to really help and provide that support at all times. Cool, so at this point, I'm going to go into a live demonstration of FEB Tutor. I'm gonna really walk you through how students will log on, access their student dashboard, what the tutoring experience looks like from a student's perspective, all the way to the end when students will complete and fill out a feedback form. So what's really great about FEB Tutor and online tutoring is the accessibility piece. It's extremely accessible to students. All students need is that internet connection and a device. We're accessible through computers, phones, tablets, you name it. We have an app in the App Store. So we really work to be extremely accessible to students. And once students have that device and that internet connection, they'll go to febtutor.com. They'll log in with their own unique username and password that's been emailed or will be emailed to them by the end of the day today. And they'll go ahead and sign in. Once they log in, they'll be brought to their student dashboard. And there's a lot of cool features in here, but a couple things I'd like to point out is really front and center, students will see their tutoring schedule. If they booked a one-time or reoccurring session, it's going to show up really front and center as a nice reminder. Once students are in their student dashboard, there are two ways that they can book and schedule a tutoring session. They can do that by clicking this and with the plus sign over here, this book a session button, choose which subject they need support in, upload a file directly to the dashboard. So whether that's a homework assignment, class assignment, they upload it, it's going to show up in that whiteboard space. It'll show you in 1 second that both the student and the tutor are going to work from, see together, and really dive into. They're able to leave a comment if they need specific help with exponents. They can tell that right there. And then they're able to really choose a date and time, whether it's a one-time or that reoccurring schedule that works best for their schedule, family schedule, and whatnot. And once they click the schedule button, it's going to show up in that schedule that's front and center right in their dashboard. There's also that on-demand session that I mentioned. If I didn't have a tutor waiting for me and I didn't have a session scheduled, this button would be blue and would say request an on-demand session. Students would click that button, see a similar drop-down menu, choose the subject they need support in, upload an assignment, say what they need help in, and then when they click connect, they'll be connected to a tutor within 20 to 30 seconds. Again, that's the same time, day or night. But this red button is signaling to me that I have a scheduled session and I have a tutor waiting for me. So I'm going to go ahead and dive on in. When I join a tutoring session, it's going to bring me to this two-way synchronous whiteboard where the majority of the work is going to be done by the student and the tutor. Over here in this chat box, you'll see that I have a tutor waiting and ready to work with me. Her name is Tiana, and she's saying hello and treating me like I'm a student logging on for the very first time. Say hello back. So this chat box here is the primary form of communication that both students and tutors are going to use to communicate throughout the entire session. A lot of students really like and appreciate the chat box with the digital age, texting, all the time spent on the computer. Students feel comfortable chatting back and forth and really appreciate the really anonymous nature of this chat feature. But knowing that students have different needs and learning styles, we have different options for students to communicate with their tutors throughout the session. For our auditory learners, we have a speaker button at the top of the screen up here that allows students to hear everything that Tiana is writing. We have a text-to-speech option, so everything in the chat box will be read out loud when students activate the speaker. We also, for our verbal learners, have a microphone option, conference button. If they go over here to the left-hand side of the screen and click on this button, it's going to notify the tutor that the student would like to speak with them directly, and students will be able to talk to their tutor from the start to end of the lesson if they prefer. We find that our younger learners really appreciate and like the microphone option, don't feel super comfortable typing back and forth. And then for the first time, when a student logs into their tutoring sessions, the tutor is going to provide a brief orientation of the whiteboard and the different tools that are available to the learner for the entire lesson. So for our kinesthetic learner, we have some really cool tools over here that allow students to really interact right on the whiteboard. We have a pencil, we have a highlighter with a bunch of fun colors that students can use to highlight in the text right on the whiteboard. A text box, if they don't want to use their mouse to write on the whiteboard, they can put a text box right on the screen. There's shapes, there's ever a geometry lesson, coordinate grid if they need to plot something. And the crowd favorite are these emojis up here that students like to use to communicate to their tutors. I mentioned the language adaptation tool, and that's located right up here at the top of the screen. This Google Translate toggle will allow students to switch back and forth between English and their preferred language. And when they do that, everything on the whiteboard and everything in the chat box is going to be translated. This is an English immersion model, so everything every time a student responds to their tutor, whether it's through speaking or the chat box, they have to respond in English. But this toggle really allows students to switch back and forth, better access the content, and it really aids in comprehension from start to finish of the tutoring session. And then I'd like to add, anytime the students are in the session, they're able to upload content, upload a homework assignment directly into this whiteboard space, or share their screen with their tutor if they prefer. So both the student and the tutor can work on the same assignment. I'm feeling really good about these tools and ready to move on to the lesson. So all of our scheduled lessons are part of individualized learning plans that were created specifically for each student. Our lessons follow the gradual release responsibility model. This I do, we do, you do, followed by an exit ticket at the end. These exit tickets are standards aligned assessments, typically 3 to 5 questions long, that our tutors and our instructional team use to gauge a student's mastery of a concept. So as a learner, if I score this 100% score at the end of my lesson, that's going to signal to Tiana and our instructional team that I have a really firm understanding of order of operations with exponents. And next time I log in, I'm ready to move on to the next session. Tiana's going to introduce and is introducing the topic today. We're working with order of operations with exponents. And over here, she's working to activate my background knowledge by asking me if I've worked with order of operation problems before. So I mentioned that Tiana's a real life person on the other end of the screen. And so she's going to ask these questions and check in throughout the session to really gauge where I'm at as a learner so she can make real-time adjustments to meet my needs at any point during the session. We're going to do the majority of our work here on this whiteboard, like I mentioned. Gianna's going to write directly onto the screen, and then in the chat box provide explanations along the way. At any point, if I'm stuck or have any questions, I can obviously ask Tiana, but then we have a notes button for every subject and every lesson that provide definitions, examples, step-by-step instructions students can reference at any point during this session. And I like to point out that Google Translate button at the top of the screen, if students want to, I like to point out that it'll translate the notes section as well. So at any point, students can reference that, go back and forth, and just get an extra layer of instruction there. So I'm going to go ahead and take a whack at this problem. I'm using a mouse to write on the screen. Students have used their touchpad on their computers, their fingers on their tablets and devices, or they could put a text box and type directly onto the screen if they prefer. So I made a little mistake there. That's okay. I'm understanding where I went wrong, so I'm just going to fix that and keep going. But at any point, if I wanted, I could ask Tiana for help. Tutor is there, especially during this I do portion, where she's taking more responsibility during the session, really guiding me towards the right answer. Throughout the entire lesson, the tutor is going to encourage active engagement. You see over here that Tiana said +1 point. These are participation points that tutors are going to award from start to finish in the tutoring session, and they're up here at the top of the screen. Students can reference them at any point, and it's really a great motivator for students to see how engaged they are throughout the session. Students will get points by asking questions, making mistakes, writing in the chat box, writing on the whiteboard, really engaging from start to finish with the tutor. So that's up here for students to reference, but at any time, parents and administrators, teachers can also, they'll get reports on participation points and how many points students earn. And it's a great little motivator for parents and teachers as well. We've seen participation points incentivized. We've seen parents award like an extra 10 minutes of screen time based on the number of points students get, or teachers award bonus points based on those points as well. So I'm at the end. I figured this problem out, feeling really good. Anna and I are going to walk through the entire lesson together, that I do, we do, you do, and she's going to gradually release responsibility to me, giving more ownership to me as a learner, so she can see that I am really fully understanding order of operations with exponents. I'm going to go through this entire lesson. I'm going to complete that exit ticket. And at the end of every session, we will work to solicit student feedback, really empower that student voice by asking them to complete a feedback form at the end of every session. I mentioned that we love feedback, and so we'll ask students to complete this feedback form at the end of every session so we can hear from them how their tutoring session went. We ask them to rate their tutor out of 5 stars, rate their session out of 5 stars, and leave any comments about their experience. We have a quality assurance team here at FEV Tutor that's dedicated to, like it says in the name, ensuring quality of each tutoring session. So if a student ever rates a session or tutor less than 5 stars, we automatically flag that in our system, and our team will go in and review that session recording from start to finish to see what may have resulted in that score. And based on that session review and those student comments that we really pay attention to and take note of, our team is able to go in and make any necessary tweaks to tutoring sessions. So whether it's a pacing issue, a tutor was going too slow or whatnot, we're able to make those real-time changes and really ensure that the next time a student logs into their session, they're really receiving that top-notch experience every single time they log on. Session histories are available for students at any point to review in their student dashboard. At any time, they can click on that tab and scroll down and see the lessons that they've been participating in, topic, the objective, or tutor. You can see their exit ticket score and their recording. They can reference at any point. That whole whiteboard session was recorded, as well as the chat script that students can review, parents can review, all parties can review. And so at this point, typically we get a lot of questions of how do students get started? How can they start to take advantage of FEV Tutor? So there's a couple ways students can get started and join their tutoring sessions really right away. The first way is by emailing this ky@fevtutor.com email address. This is our family and student engagement email address that I mentioned that someone's always behind and manning. And it's a great way for students to create a schedule or book a session really in real time. All students have to do is email this ky@fevtutor.com with their name, the preferred days of tutoring, preferred times, and the subject they need support in. You can also forward along homework assignments, classwork they need support in. Our tutors will have when students log on. If people prefer to speak directly to an individual, they can call this 855 number and schedule a session the same way with the preferred days, times, and subjects, and we'll go ahead and schedule students really right away. And scheduled sessions are available from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. during that weekday, but those on-demand sessions I mentioned are available 24/7. We are also sending out, students should have all received, if not today or tomorrow, definitely tomorrow, an email directly from us that has a weekly lesson sign-up form, right, and linked into that email. This allows students to go ahead and same thing, the click of a button, schedule and book a time, a tutoring session for the days and times that work best for their schedule, and they're able to specify which subject they need support in. And lastly, students are able to go into their student dashboard and either book a session in that book a session button I mentioned, or request that on-demand session that's available 24/7. So students should have received, if not today, by end of day, a welcome email with their login credentials and instructions on how to log into FEV Tutor. As well as that welcome email, they're going to get that additional email with that weekly lesson sign-up form that students can access and sign up for a day that makes sense for their schedule. We are already seeing students across the district take advantage of FEV Tutor and participate in tutoring sessions, which is super exciting. We are here to support your district, support your students, and so this is just an extra layer that students can take advantage of really anytime, day or night. So we are here, we are out there, and we're ready to support JCPS, and we're excited to be partnering with you this year.
Excellent. So thank you, Sean. So that's another resource for JCPS. So that's always good. So thank you very much. All right. So we are going to take a look at our afternoon schedule now. So the afternoon schedule starts at 12:30. We've got Minecraft, and more Minecraft with Jim Unger for a whole hour. Because you notice the more Minecraft part, so really, really important stuff there. We've got stress management for students, which is a really important topic this time of year, the holiday season, as well as on top of COVID. This is going to be a really important one for you at 1:30. as well as another mental health type episode, creating a culture of psychological safety at 2 o'clock. Then at 2:30, we kind of switch gears and we talk about whiteboards. So you're going to see some Jamboard stuff in there as well. I'm predicting, as well as a Smart Learning Suite. I'm thinking might make an appearance for with Elaine Abernathy at 2:30. And then we wrap this up this afternoon with a repeat of the session that we just did with FEV Tutor. So awesome. So we will see you at 12:30. Thank you so much.